Hey guys. Part 2 of What If Naruto Can Use Space-Time Ninjutsu and Travel Between Universes. Hit like and subscribe if you like this one, and also please check the author in the description. Let's start. Chapter 5 Blaze. The Hokage's office was the same as the one from Naruto's homeworld. Clean. Bright. How nostalgic. He had the feeling he had left his reality years ago. If only he wasn't under the watch of at least 10 ANBU, he might have enjoyed the situation. So, the Sandaime Hokage asked as he sat on his chair. Who are you? He seemed to be a calm and harmless old man, but everyone in the room was aware it was merely an illusion. The ninja didn't earn the title God of the Shinobi without a reason. He gained it by crushing his rivals and breaking down the enemies of his country, and technically, by shielding a child murderer and blackmailing the Hokage into submission, Naruto's team could be considered a menace to Konoha's safety. At least, Sasori's threat was keeping them alive for the moment. Naruto would have to question the puppeteer on how he had gained sensitive information on the village in such a short time. He had been amazed when the mob didn't attack. Tens of parents, all ready to avenge their child, perhaps they were confident in the Hokage's judgment? His grandson had been almost killed. They must be believing in his willingness to execute the demon child later. He had almost decided to teleport the group into another world, supplies or not, but Sasori's words had troubled him. What was he talking about? If he had mentioned the seal, then Kabuto would have left his cover to join them, and they would have jumped into another reality. The puppeteer wanted to talk to the Hokage. Beside allowing Kabuto to recuperate what they had left at the hotel, that was obvious. Some travelers, with different objectives, who banded together for practical reasons, Sasori answered. The Hokage frowned. You will have to give me more than that. I'm afraid I have to deny your request, the spy master said. You see, revealing our identity would, unfortunately, involve some nasty secrets that I don't think you would like to share with your ANBU, since they implicate some of the previous SS rank secrets that I evoked previously. This made Naruto stiffen slightly. He ignored the existence of this level of secrecy. But somehow, it didn't surprise him. If his state as Jinchuriki was an S-rank secret and known by every adult in the village, then it was obvious that the greatest secrets of Konoha were, well, secret. The Sandaime stayed silent a moment. ANBU leave the room. Everyone looked at the Sandaime in obvious surprise. But, Hokage-sama, leave the room, the old man repeated, ignoring a disguised Kakashi's worries. I don't fear them. Lock the door behind you. I understand. The shinobi left the office, the other ANBU behind him. They closed the door behind them. Sasori smirked. I must admit it takes a lot of balls to lock yourself in a soundproof room with possibly hostile ninjas. Kill me, and the whole village will be after you before you can blink, the Sandaime declared. Now let me explain what I want. I want to know who you are, what you're doing in Konoha. How do you know this town's darkest secrets? Why do you protect an unstable psychopath? Naruto gritted his teeth at the statement, and he sensed the boy in his arms stiffen, and especially why one of you looks like an older version of our Jinchuriki. He locked eyes with Naruto. Naruto glared at him. It's because I am an older version of Naruto. He turned to face his two other counterparts. Drop the henge. Naruto didn't hesitate, revealing her features instantly. The blonde puppeteer looked at his teacher, before obeying as he saw approval in Sasori's eyes. The clone disguised as Kabuto didn't obey, since he had to cover the model. The Hokage paled. What's the meaning of this? He asked. Sasori smirked. Everyone, show your seal. As the teenager, Naruto and the green Naruto partially took their shirt off, they channeled chakra on their belly, revealing the Yondaime's seal. The Hokage gaped, especially when the blonde puppeteer tapped into the Kyuubi's power for a few seconds. Sasori continued to smirk. I am Sasori of the Red Sand, and the man next to me is my subordinate, Adachi Tojo. These three are alternate versions of Naruto, coming from different dimensions, such as the two of us. The old man's jaw dropped. Explain, he ordered. A few explanations later, the Sandaime massaged his temples. This is insane, but somehow I believe you. It is impossible to duplicate a Bijuu's chakra. He stared at the group. And now I understand why you want to protect Naruto. We could have been like him, the teenager said. We can heal him. I doubt that, the Hokage said. You have seen what he is capable of. Naruto gritted his teeth. Blame Konoha for that. Its citizens' abuse twisted him. Hokage-sama, his puppeteer counterpart said. May I ask how this situation came into being? It didn't happen in our world, so The Hokage's look saddened. I failed to protect him. Naruto has enemies, from within the village, he said. You must probably know how Konoha is directed, don't you? Sasori nodded. The Hokage commands the shinobi forces. The daimyo gives the funds. The Council of Konoha propose laws, or validate the ones proposed by the Hokage. The Sandaime nodded. After the Kyuubi's attack, I summoned the council, and made them validate the law of silence. While they seemed to approve, it took only a week for everyone in the village to learn about Naruto's problem. After dozens of public executions of informants and potential murderers, the citizens of Konoha learned to respect my decree. Unfortunately, some influential people decided to get around it. Who? Naruto asked, as his eyes narrowed. He wouldn't have another chance to learn about these people, and he wanted to confront them. Personally, powerful merchants, clan heads, veterans, the conspiracy is very heteroclite and very powerful. How many are its members exactly I don't know, but they control a large part of the armed forces of the village and can affect the whole economy. The Uchiha clan was its leader, until Itachi removed them for me. Everyone except Sasori gaped. Naruto couldn't believe his ears. Itachi was working for you? He said. You wiped out the Uchiha clan? For the good of Konoha, the old man responded. Fugaku had decided to take over the village, to make it an oligarchy led by his clan. A coup would have been disastrous. It might have started a new shinobi war. I had no choice but to approve Danzo's proposition to remove them, after discussions failed. So the root, a secret part of the ANBU, and Itachi, destroyed the whole clan, even the children and the non-combatants. Naruto shouted. It couldn't be the Sandaime he had known. What do you think would have happened if they had discovered what had really happened? The Hokage snarled. The revelation of our implication would have been disastrous for our image, and the children would have grown with only one thing in mind, avenging their parents. Konoha would have been threatened again. Naruto grit his teeth. Then why did you leave Sasuke alive? We needed a witness to make our cover story more believable, the Sandaime said. Itachi wanted his brother to survive. When he awoke from a genjutsu-inflicted coma, he revealed to everyone that the beloved prodigy was the one, and only, responsible for the massacre. You framed your own agent? Naruto couldn't believe that the man in front of him was the person he had admired in his childhood. His idealized view of him had been shattered by the hammer of truth. It was his idea. Sarutobi closed his eyes. Itachi loved Konoha, and sacrificed his life for it. Sacrificed? Sasori asked. Someone murdered him for his implication in the massacre. The root has recently found his dead body in an old Uchiha fortress, his eyes plucked out of his skull. There was a note with him. Rewarded as traitors deserve. The old man opened his eyes again. Anyway, after their destruction, the conspiracy continued to exist, but this time under the Hyuga clan's command. They wanted to make the demon pay, and to refine him into the perfect weapon in the process. They wanted to make me like Gaara, and almost succeeded. And you did nothing? While they were making his life a living hell? Heck, you stopped him from killing the man responsible for his suffering, the old man sighed. I feared to weaken Konoha again. I wanted to avoid a civil war. As for Hayashi, what do you think the attempted, or actual, murder of a clan head would have caused? I would have been forced to execute him. I simply wanted to protect him, like you protected Hinata? The blonde puppeteer snarled. The insane Naruto's body tensed. Her death was an accident. I couldn't do anything about it. I am not almighty, you know, but you're the Hokage. Naruto shouted. You could have helped us more. You could have given us a tutor or something. You could have asked Jiraiya or Kakashi to adopt us. Naruto yelled. I did. Silence. Jiraiya and Kakashi refused to take Naruto under their wing, the old man said, with a saddened voice. I suppose it's because looking at a carbon copy of Minato was too much for them, whatever the reasons they gave me. After their refusal, I tried to have him adopted, but some accidents convinced me to give him to an orphanage under close surveillance. They kicked him out when he was 6. I gave him an apartment, and he seemed to be able to live on his own. With all the problems of ruling Konoha, he simply drifted out of my mind, until Hinata's funeral, and tonight. He sighed. I lack strength. Yes, Naruto said harshly. Yes, you did. And we all paid the price of your weakness. The kind old man of his memories was no more. An indifferent Hokage had replaced him in his mind. I want to know the names of the conspiracy members. I'm afraid I can't do that, he said. Konoha is weaker than ever before, and I can't allow you to avenge yourself. I don't trust you, Naruto glared at the old man, leaking killing intent. The Sandaime stayed unfazed. The old man locked eyes with Sasori. How did you learn about the root and the truth behind the Uchiha massacre? If you come from another world, then events might have happened differently in your reality. Respond honestly. Your public blackmail attempt will cause me enough problems in time, and since now I know it's a load of bullshit, as there is no way you could have informed anyone in such a short time between your arrival and tonight, I want the whole truth. I have to gain something out of this or you're going to be executed. Events did happen differently, the puppeteer said, while the three Naruto glared at the old man. In my homeworld, Itachi acted alone, and truly was a madman. The source of my information is one of your advisors. The Sandaime frowned. I figured that. Only them and Danzo are aware of these two secrets. Hamura Mitokado is a mole, he declared bluntly. He has been one since before the beginning of the Third Shinobi War. Impossible, the Hokage countered. He is one of the oldest and most loyal ninja of Konoha. My own teammate. Loyalty has nothing to do with it. While he was still in Sunagakure, my counterpart had secretly installed a mind control seal on him. You probably remember the mission when he had returned alone, pretending to be the only survivor? Sarutobi paled. Is it possible? Yes. In fact, I did the same thing back in my homeworld. So when I arrived in town, I immediately went to talk to Hamura-san, if only to test if he was a spy in this world too, and he was. A hand seal later, he answered all the questions I posed, including the ones en route and the Uchiha massacre. Sasori smirked. Pretty impressive, isn't it? Yes, the Sandaime said, while gritting his teeth. Pretty impressive indeed. Now everything is clear. The leaks that started the Third World War, and I thought it was Kagami. How could I have been such a fool? He locked eyes with Sasori. How can I remove the mind control seal? Asked Jiraiya. I don't have the time for the procedure, the puppeteer claimed. After tonight's events, this world isn't safe for us anymore. We will leave as soon as possible, and we are taking Naruto with us, the teenager said, glaring at the Hokage, daring him to do anything about it. He will be executed if he stays here. Of course he will, the Hokage said. He will be judged and hanged, or at least a copy of him will. The Kyuubi is too important for the village to be destroyed. Naruto's gritted his teeth. He won't be Konoha's weapon. Ever. Sarutobi locked eyes with him. Thousands of people are living in this town. My duty is to protect them, no matter what the cost. As it seemed the argument would soon degenerate into a brawl, Sasori defused the situation. And if I give you another weapon of equal power, will you let this kid leave? The Sandaime immediately stared at him, frowning. There is nothing stronger than a bijou. Except another bijou, Sasori smirked. Hamura-san has informed me of the Sanbai's escape in this world too. I know where the beast is hiding. The Hokage's eyes widened. In exchange of the information, let us take Naruto with us. How can I test the validity of your claim? The Sanbai could have acted differently in this reality. If not, then this scroll will interest you. The puppeteer touched his torso. A huge scroll appeared in a puff of smoke. Sasori gave it to the aging man. Would you kindly read it? The old man carefully opened it, apparently ready for anything, and then paled. This is the result of my years as spy master. Countless data on jutsu, future plans, bijou and jinchuriki locations, spies, corrupt agents, undiscovered mines, puppet designs. I was keeping this copy of my journal just in case. Sasori smiled. With this, Konoha can stay at the top of the shinobi world for more than 3 decades. This scroll is priceless. The Sandaime appeared to think about accepting. Naruto decided to test if there was still something left of his idol in this man. Old man, he said, and the Hokage stiffened at the nickname. It isn't about the village nor power. It's about what is the right thing to do. The old man stayed silent. Naruto, do you want to leave with them? I know you're awake. The boy opened his eyes. Yes. I want to leave this place. The Hokage closed his eyes. Vanish before dawn. I will have one of my scientists create false corpses to simulate your death. Sasori smirked. Kabuto Yakushi is indeed very competent at this. A pity he is another mole for my other self. Again? Sarutobi sighed. Jiraiya will have a lot of work it seems. Does you have other agents in Konoha, Sasori-san? No. When you control the head, why control the rest? Touché. As the team prepared to leave, Naruko looked sadly at the Sandaime. The teenager realized that one of her idols had died in this room. Locking eyes with him, she followed Naruto as he left the office, under the gaze of the ANBU. Take care of him, the Hokage muttered. Naruto didn't respond. Naruto looked at the hotel's door. Where is Kabuto? Killing time waiting for us, probably, the Kyuubi said in a bored tone. Ignoring his tenant, the puppeteer observed his newest counterpart. The boy was pale, and seemed sick. Are you alright? He asked him. It was strange to talk to a mad version of himself, but was he even insane, or simply possessed by the Kyuubi? Yes, he lied. You don't look so good, Naruto stated as she joined the conversation. For once, the crazy girl is right, the puppeteer said, ignoring his female self's glare. You can tell us anything you know. We are more or less brothers and sisters now. The former serial killer stared at them. The voices in my head are confused. They don't know how to react toward you. That's creepy, but he is right. I never know if I should kill or devour you. So hard to choose. What do they say? Naruto asked. The puppeteer admired her calm. It took a lot of nerve not to be disturbed by the guy's comments. One wants me to kill you all, he stated, and the two others paled. The second thinks I should join your pack, and the third simply asks to wait for what will come next. Do they disagree often? Naruto asked. No. It's rare. Most of the time they simply want to attack someone in particular. So the Kyuubi isn't the only one inside of this head. Perhaps he has split personalities. And the Kyuubi? The Kyuubi? He asked, confused. Naruto frowned. You know, the demon inside of you. Ah, yes, he said. It wants to kill you. What a surprise, the puppeteer deadpan. It must be our outfits. Of course it's your outfit, eyesore, jerk. He decided to drop the subject. Hey, Sasori, he asked his teacher. Why did you organize this charade? His teenage counterpart nodded. Yes, blackmailing the Hokage in front of the populace was a very risky gambit. Why did you do that? Sasori smiled. But for you, my friends. For you all. They all looked up at him. Care to explain? Naruto asked. He knew Sasori was one hell of a manipulative bastard, and that his vision of help was skewed. I wanted you to confront the Hokage, he said. Not the old man, not the kind grandfather, not the enemy, the Hokage. I showed you the ruthless ninja ready to do everything for his village, the man you had never encountered. I wanted you to see what it was to be him. I see, the blonde puppeteer muttered, while the rest of the group stayed silent. Plus, now we know that there is a conspiracy behind our suffering, his teenage counterpart said. And we will find them, to make them pay. The voice was cold and harsh. Naruto nodded. Sounds good to me. The voices agree, the insane himself declared. They are beginning to like you, Naruto smirked, before eyeing the silent Naruto. And you, flat lady? Oh. Sounds fine, Naruto frowned. You don't seem excited by the idea. His older self was looking at the scene sideways. She gave him a dry look. I am a bit confused, you know. The man I admired turned out to be everything but kind behind his mask of civility. Naruto understood her. He had been through the same thing before. I see. You need time to deal with it, his older counterpart said. If you need to talk about it, she smiled. Thanks, sensei. I'm fine. I'm glad to hear that, he said as he opened the door. Naruto followed him and Sasori as they entered the hotel. Hey, Kabuto, where are you? Here. The medic said, as he took a step from the shadows, holding a lot of scrolls in his arms. I have your supplies. Naruto immediately took his own, followed by the rest of the group. The blonde puppeteer immediately rejoiced at having Jiraiya with him again. He did have the two others, but he was the one he liked the most. Also, I have met someone that will interest you, Sasori, the medic said. Who? An associate of your other self. He turned his head to face the shadow. He's right there. Hello, my friends. A masked man announced as he appeared from nowhere. I am Tsukiyomi, and I have a proposition for you. Uchiha Madara. Immediately, a red and corrupted chakra raced through Naruto's veins, and the boy found himself trying to punch the man in the face. In a blink, Kabuto's hand connected with his belly, reinforcing the seal and sending him to the ground. The medic's eyes became white. Naruto blinked. It's Kabuto's dead reanimation technique. You know what I think, little spawn? I think I will just kill you here and now. His medical palm was stopped by Sasori's hand. I see my agent is now an animated dead corpse. Where is the murderer? Here I am, a man said. Sideways, Naruto saw two masked men stepping out of the shadows. As Sasori engaged the flesh puppet, the blonde puppeteer got up, and the rest of the team charged at the masked trio. The one with two mismatched eyes put his hands together. You know what? Fuck the negotiations. Shinra Tensei. In an instant, Everything went straight to hell. Sasori jumped on the side, avoiding the mind-controlled Kabuto's attempt at beheading him. Sorry, Kabuto, but I don't have any other choice. With the hand seal, Sasori activated the hidden explosive seal in his agent's forehead. He had installed it after Naruto informed him of the medic's counterpart's treachery. It was just in case. The corpse's head popped, spilling his blood and liquefied brain on the ground. Shinra Tensei. Then, an invisible force sent Sasori flying backward. He went through the door, before hitting something. His puppet body, much more resilient than flesh, resisted the shock. Landing back on his feet, the puppeteer unsealed the Sandaime Kazekage. His opponent, Tsukiyomi, got out of the hotel, his only eye, a Sharingan, eyeing Sasori's best weapon with interest. Impressive, he said. The Sandaime Kazekage was probably one of the best ninjas of his generation. It must have been a chore to kill him. Sasori didn't respond, instead analyzing his surroundings. The hotel was encircled by a purple, circular barrier, emitting a faint light. The puppeteer couldn't see anything through it. We don't have to try to kill each other, Tsukiyomi said. Our allies have panicked, but surely we can resolve the situation peacefully like civilized people. No? The Sandaime Kazekage immediately opened his mouth and breathed iron sand. I will take that as a no. The masked man sighed, before putting his hands together. I wanted to avoid unnecessary bloodshed, but if you want a fight, you will have it. Blaze release. He put two of his fingers together, with both his hands, and pointed them at Sasori. Black fire formed from them, projected at the puppeteer. A shield of metal saved the spy master from death by burning, but then began to melt. Reacting quickly, Sasori transformed some of the sand into pikes and sent them flying at the masked man. He stopped his technique, before disappearing. Unfortunately, the black fire continued to melt his sand. Sasori separated the liquid part from the solid, before avoiding a kunai from below him. Tsukiyomi erupted from the ground, trying to punch the puppeteer, who jumped backward. Spikes of iron impaled the man, before flying through him and hitting the barrier. Sasori had seen many things in his lifetime, and fought many powerful adversaries. He had defeated the Sandaime Kazekage, he had survived a world war, he had brought down a country, and he would crush this opponent too. There were 3 secrets to win a battle: being able to adapt to any situation, knowing your adversary's tricks, and being ready to go at any length to beat him. Sasori knew how to exploit any situation, and he could fight very dirty if he wanted to. He only needed to discover how this guy's powers worked. As a rain of iron blades fell on Tsukiyomi, Sasori closely observed his movements. He didn't move, not even bothering to avoid the attack. The weapon went through him, as if he were an illusion, which he wasn't. One of the advantages of Sasori's puppet body was its total invulnerability to genjutsu. He can make his body intangible, but since he doesn't disappear within the earth, then it means that at least a part of his feet is solid. But the iron sand has been drenched in poison too. He must have been touched. Perhaps he is immune to it? Moving the melting metal, Sasori spilled it on the masked man. He still didn't move, but this time his only visible eye transformed into a vortex, which absorbed the deadly liquid and made it disappear into nothingness. Cursing, Sasori opted for a different strategy, resealing the Sandaime Kazekage and its sand before they were consumed too. Since his puppets could be devoured, that projectiles were useless, and that his poison didn't seem to have any effect, he would have to outlast his opponent, since his techniques probably needed a lot of chakra. With a shunshin, he was suddenly at the top of the hotel. Opening one of his palms, he tried to decapitate the masked man with a high-pressure water shot. Tsukiyomi teleported to his left, a kunai in hand. Sasori's blade wings tore his robes apart, and almost shredded the masked man's arm. Unfortunately, he simply jumped backward, eyeing Sasori carefully. I should have known, that's how you look so young. He chuckled. So the artist has become his own masterpiece. How fitting. Sasori's response was the use of his flamethrower. Shinra Tensei, as an invisible force sent him crashing into a wall, Naruto straight upwards. He watched helplessly as his mentally ill counterpart was impaled through the belly by a Kusanagi blade. His wounds regenerated fast, but then a second sword appeared in the armored man's hand in place of the Kusanagi. Samahata. Oh crap, Naruto said. Indeed, a voice responded. A punch hit his jaw with enough strength to shatter a rock. Blood filled his mouth as a second attack broke his nose, and a third some of his ribs. Naruto tried to defend himself, but the masked man was incredibly fast and strong. The taijutsu battle was purely one-sided, and in less than a minute, Naruto hit a wall again. But this time, he went through it. I am disappointed, the man said in a bored voice. I expected more talent from an Uzumaki, but it seems that your blood has weakened over time. He stood over Naruto, lying on the ground. Or maybe Konoha has truly succeeded at crippling your abilities. A shame. Gloat, go on, Naruto declared. I receive a you suck speech in all my fights, and guess what? He smiled. I'm still here. Immediately, the clone disguised as Kabuto tried to ram a Rasengan in the man's back. However, the masked attacker stayed unfazed, and both the jutsu and the clone went through him. With only one finger, the man dispelled the clone. His two mismatched eyes seemed to smile at Naruto's shock, even as he went through him with another Rasengan. I am, like you, able to bend space to my will. I can't open the way to another world, but I can follow you. He turned around, locking eyes with the obviously surprised boy. Yes, I come from another world, like you. My teammates are alternate versions of me, like your little gang of copies. Naruto paled. Shit, interesting, isn't it? This power, the masked man trailed off, before opening his palm. I want to witness it. Once again, an invisible force manifested itself, pulling Naruto into the masked man direction. Creating a dozen of clones, the teenager used them to shield himself from the impact. The masked man punched through them, but missed the original, who immediately tried to kick the ninja in the face. This time, however, his opponent simply parried with his arm. Grabbing Naruto's limb, he sent him flying backward. Landing on his feet, the vessel took the Kusanagi in his hands and made it grow. The blade cut through his adversary's body, but no blood splattered on the floor. In an instant, the ninja disappeared. Sensing something behind him, Naruto quickly used a shunshin, avoiding a blow coming from behind. You're fast to react, I give you that, the masked man said. But if you want to face me, speed is not enough. Only power can save you from my wrath. Susanu's wrath. You use the name of a god? Naruto's eyes narrowed. You're a bit arrogant, aren't you? The man chuckled. When I have the strength of a god and the will to match, who's to say that I'm not? I think that I'm the closest thing this world has to a deity. He put his hands together. And I have the power to back up my claim. Immediately, a rain of kunai passed through him. Susanoo turned his head to face his new assailant. Little girl, he told Naruto, it's impolite to interrupt a duel. And useless, the genin smirked. I don't think so. The explosive notes on the kunais detonated, demolishing a large part of the room. Naruto jumped next to her older counterpart. Who are these guys? I don't know, he answered honestly, but apparently they come from different worlds than this one. They followed us? How? She asked, as shock spread over her face. And why? Why? A voice said. The masked man was still there, in the same position as before. Because the power to travel between realities must be our own. Because with it, we will be almighty. Naruto narrowed his eyes. And you really think I will help you? The man chuckled. It's funny, because you don't have a choice. He finished his hand seal sequence. Summoning technique. He slammed his hand on the ground. Nothing happened. For a moment, there was only silence. Then Susanoo slammed the ground again. And again. And again. Wow, Naruto muttered. At least now I know that I'm not the only one unable to summon. Susanoo glared at him. What is the meaning of this? The vessel smirked. Crossing worlds makes us unable to bring our summons to help us. I don't know why, but, hey God, it seems that you aren't so almighty after all. Naruto mocked him. You're just a scam. An insane amount of killing intent paralyzed her with dread. Susanoo's eyes were full of hatred and scorn. A shadowy cloak of blue chakra enveloped him, before transforming into a colossal, humanoid monster. It was an armored knight, without weapons. His body was covered by spikes, and one of his eyes was glowing with a red light. You will know pain, Susanoo said. I will break you down, slowly. Naruto cursed. Naruto, next time keep your remarks to yourself. I couldn't resist. Naruto screamed as he felt his flesh being shredded apart by hungry scales. Kill! Let's make him suffer. He's nothing next to us. The impulse came, and the power invaded him. As he transformed into a werewolf, his wounds closed themselves at a blinding speed. Roaring, he riposted by grabbing his opponent's head, only to see him fall through the ground. Naruto's enhanced senses detected the man, who was now behind him. Twisting his body, the vessel avoided being beheaded by his attacker's new, massive sword. The werefox's tail tried to crush the insect with one deadly swing, but it instead hit an invisible shield. The jewel on the man's mask was glittering. Who are you? The vessel roared as he punched the man, hitting the shield instead. What do you want? I am Amaterasu, he answered. And I only want you to test my limits against you, he said as his sword swung, barely missing the fast werewolf. I will defeat you. You defeat us? We will punish you for your arrogance. We are the strongest. We will survive. I am stronger, he roared. You will not beat me. He punched the invisible shield again with all his might, lightly damaging it. Amaterasu seemed slightly surprised. Shattering the Magatama's protection, with brute force only, apparently, I will have to fight you seriously. The jewel stopped shining, and his sword was instantly replaced by another looking like a needle. Faster than the wind, he began a series of fencing attacks. Despite his incredible reflexes and speed, Naruto couldn't avoid the majority of the blows. The blade was simply too insanely fast and precise. However, his advanced regeneration healed the damage faster than Amaterasu could inflict more. You have quite the healing factor. Amaterasu took a step back. But what are its limits? Why not test them? Instantly, an almost invisible wire tightened around the werefox's limbs, trapping his body and transforming it into a compact mass of flesh. Looking sideways, Naruto noticed that the wire was attached to the needle itself. Struggling to free himself, the werefox found himself unable to do so. Your strength, as impressive as it is, won't save you from these restraints, Amaterasu said as a second sword appeared in his other hand. It was a big blue blade, covered by a layer of chakra, which took the form of a hammer. And I don't think any healing factor will suffice to save you from a blow coming from this thing. He raised his sword, but then he teleported away, just as a little missile almost hit him. The restraints on Naruto vanished as the projectile pulverized a large part of a wall. Getting up, Naruto noticed his green counterpart, standing behind him. A monstrous, mechanical red toad was waiting with his mouth open at his left, connected to the boy's fingers by strings of chakra. The two twins locked eyes. Why not try working together? He is strong, but if we gang up on him, I agree. The enemy of my enemy is my friend. We don't need him. We should kill him too. I will compromise. We kill the masked worm first, then we tear apart that green eyesore next. Okay, the werefox said. What do you suggest? Engage him in close combat. I will be your long-range cover. I don't think so, a voice said, coming from the mechanical toad. I have just decided to simply beat the two of you at the same time. The red machine immediately exploded, and Amaterasu emerged from the remains. Reacting faster than his counterpart, the werefox charged at the masked man, ready to eviscerate him. He simply passed through the ground. Gee! Jiraiya, the green eyesore muttered, completely pale. The werefox ignored him, more focused on detecting his hidden opponent. Then, he sensed something touching the area below his tail. Uchiha's secret jutsu, 1,000 years of pain. The voices in his head cringed. It's going to suck. Hard, indeed. As his counterpart was sent flying by an explosion, going through the ceiling in the process, Naruto's sadness at the destruction of Jiraiya turned into insane hatred. You! He yelled as he unsealed Tsunade. I'm going to kill you! I would like to see you try, the masked man responded calmly as he gazed at the monstrous, mechanical white slug. Two identical blades materialized in his hands. Show me what you can do. With his chakra strings, Naruto activated Tsunade's needle launcher. The man advanced slowly, parrying the attacks with his twin swords. They shined with lightning chakra, and then an electric arc connected them to Tsunade. Its ocular tentacles channeled the energy, before dissipating it within the earth. Strange, Amaterasu said. I was targeting the puppeteer, not its toy. Naruto smirked. Tsunade was the perfect counter to ninjutsu. Its tentacles could attract the chakra of attacks, and then redirect it where its master wanted. If only his opponent would approach more. It doesn't matter, the masked ninja declared, as his blades vanished. He was now carrying another weapon, a big sword covered with explosive tags. I have the means to adapt myself. Fuck! Naruto shouted as he activated Tsunade's explosive kunai launcher. How many swords do you have? Hundreds, he said as he gracefully avoided the thrown weapons. In one swing, his blade touched the puppet's left side, and exploded. The machine was immediately pulverized. Unsealing Orochimaru, Naruto backed off as the purple snake skirted Amaterasu, and tried to bite him in the back. The masked man vanished, and the snake circled Naruto in a protective manner. Where is he? Die, little puppeteer, a voice behind him whispered. Turning his head, Naruto could only watch helplessly as the ninja's kunai descended toward his heart. But a claw pushed the weapon away. The werefox Naruto was biting Amaterasu's shoulder, spilling white blood on him and on the floor. Bleed, you rabid animal! The masked ninja roared as Naruto's surroundings transformed. A second later, the three were falling from the sky, above the hotel's roof. He sensed Amaterasu's punch connect with his jaw, sending him flying toward the ground along with Orochimaru. To make things worse, the enraged man then threw the war fox on him. Before they could crash to the earth below, two hands grabbed them by the shirt. Orochimaru, however, landed badly. While gritting his teeth at the spectacle, Naruto stared at his savior. "Thanks, Sasori." The puppeteer stayed emotionless. "Sorry for your puppet," he said as continued to fly, his blade wings spinning at high speed. He was struggling to avoid a series of fireballs coming at him. The source? Another masked man who was apparently running on the wind. They were the prisoners of a circular purple barrier around the hotel. Amaterasu was standing on a huge fan, floating in the air. "Problem?" Naruto asked. "I can't hit him," Sasori stated. "He can turn intangible at will. My attacks are almost useless against him, so I'm trying to outlast him. It's the same deal with the second one, but apparently he can be hurt if taken by surprise." "An arrogant bastard, that's what he is," the war fox muttered. "Naruto," Sasori asked, "how many puppets do you still have in stock?" "None," he responded with anger and shame. "That guy. Amaterasu destroyed them all. I still have a dozen explosive tags on me, a flash bomb and basic stuff like kunai, but," the redhead frowned. "We can't win." "We can!" the war fox roared. "If we attack together, surely we. Our abilities are useless against them," Sasori stated. "They can easily destroy puppets, which compose most of my students' arsenal, and my own. You're only good at close combat. Against an intangible opponent, you're nothing. I suppose that your female and older counterparts are also struggling with the third member of this trio. We don't know how their abilities work, and we are trapped with them. I tried to break the barrier, but nothing worked. We need to reunite and leave this world. I don't know who they are, but..." Suddenly, the whole hotel's facade crumbled, as a monstrous, armored blue arm punched through it. Avoiding the projected debris, Sasori soon found himself in front of Tsukiyomi, who punched him in the head. The puppeteer dropped Naruto and his war fox counterpart in the air. Fortunately, the beast caught him with his tail before grabbing a part of the hotel still standing. Amaterasu was flying at them on his fan. Naruto cursed. "It's officially the worst day in my short life." "Mine too," his companion said, before avoiding a kunai thrown at them. Spitting blood, Naruto tried to stand, and succeeded with a lot of effort. Naruto-sensei was unconscious next to her, and a purple barrier was right behind them. "Why am I so weak?" she muttered to herself. A sinister chuckle answered her question. A blue giant slowly advanced toward the duo. Naruto put herself before her teacher in a protective manner, attaching her last explosive tags to two kunai. The young girl threw them at Susanoo. They exploded on his strange armor, but it didn't even slow the masked man down. With a sense of despair, the demon container started throwing everything she had. Kunai, shuriken, smoke bombs, the armor stopped everything. Susanoo continued his advance. In an insane show of courage, Naruto picked up a kunai lying on the ground and charged at the masked man, who didn't stop moving. The blue giant's palm, however, slapped the girl at full speed and sent her crashing into the barrier. As her vision blurred, she tried to stand once more, but failed. Her limbs weren't responding to her command anymore. She cried. I must move. And you will?" the Kyuubi's voice whispered in her head. Suddenly, as a feeling of omnipotence filled her mind, Naruto's limbs moved once more. A cloak of red chakra covered her body, and one long tail formed on her back. "Go on!" Charging at a blinding speed, the Jinchuriki punched the blue giant's belly, right before Susanoo's face. The immense armor stopped advancing, and the masked man eyed her with scorn. "Congratulations. I'm pissed now." The azure creature tried to squash her like a bug, but she avoided the attack and ran behind the armor, clawing his back, without much effect. Susanoo stopped walking, before swirling. The blue monster followed his movements, and his balancing hands almost hit Naruto, who jumped. Twisting her body, the young girl sent her tail to smash the armor's helmet. It went backward, before headbutting her. The shock sent her crashing into the purple barrier again. Then the monster's hand caught her out of the air and slammed her to the ground. Releasing her, the monster then squashed her body with his two fists, one after the other, again and again. The blows shattered the earth, and her bones along the way. As she sensed her body being broken faster than being healed by the Kyuubi's chakra, Naruto heard the Kyuubi screaming in the back of her mind. The Biju's voice ceased to resonate in her mind, the red chakra disappeared, and a huge hand grabbed her bruised, bleeding carcass. "The Kyuubi won't help you," her opponent declared. A brutal enough beating, and it backs down to its fox house. It will be stunned for hours, if not days. He locked eyes with Naruto. You do realize you're a dead child, of course? Naruto didn't respond. Her broken jaw didn't make it possible for her to answer. I can see your whole life in your eyes, Susanoo declared. You were born with nothing, and you worked all of your life to earn what little power you have. But no matter how much you try to claw your way to greatness, true talent will never be within your reach. And do you know why? He asked, as the blue hand brought her uncomfortably close to his face. Because true power is earned at birth. It's a divine right, given by blood. He touched his mask with his fingers. I was born with a great destiny. I was born with my clan's legacy, and the duty to destroy its enemies. You were born with the curse of the Uzumaki in your veins, with the fate of being Konoha's sacrifice. Your struggle to escape this reality is as meaningless as trying to defy the sun, don't you understand? Your clan might have been strong, but it fell. The Senju, your cousins, were strong, but they died, while I survived. Uchiha and Senju were destined to fight until one bloodline died, and yours will. Naruto screamed as the chakra hand started to crush her bones. Susanoo's eyes were completely emotionless. Sleep now. Accept the inevitable. Her vision blurred again. You talk too much. She heard an explosion, and the monster's hand released her. Before falling unconscious, she sensed a pair of arms rescuing her. As Naruto retreated with Naruto in his arms, the rest of his clones rammed another dozen Rasengan into Susanoo's blue monster. The creature trembled, but seemed unhurt. Its master glared at the vessel. I can't be stopped. I cannot be slowed down. Not by you, not by anyone. The creature swung its arms, wiping out the clones. Barely avoiding a punch, Naruto ran around, putting as much distance as possible between Susanoo and him. The man pursued him, and the monster followed. But with the added weight of Naruto and his broken ribs, Naruto couldn't distance the masked man, who caught up with him. You cannot escape me. A projectile hit the monster in the head, before exploding. Both the creature and its master stopped moving, and Susanoo raised his head. Then a flash bomb exploded. Arg! Susanoo roared as he shielded his eyes with his hand, damaged by the light. Yeah! A blonde puppeteer shouted as he landed on the ground, his werfox mount very much wounded and bleeding. I knew it! Basic stuff is the best, Naruto-san, a Sasori without his blade wings said as he jumped beside them, avoiding a fireball. Perhaps it is time to leave this world, Naruto nodded. For where? Anywhere but here. His puppeteer counterpart yelled as Susanoo's teammates flew toward them. Naruto closed his eyes and concentrated. In a flash of light, the five of them vanished. No! Tsukiyomi roared as his praise disappeared. No! 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 He landed on the ground, his armored counterpart behind him. It can't be possible, this hellion. Susanoo muttered as his eyes flared with fury. I will skin him alive. The deceiver glared at his twin. Why did you attack? We could have made them our allies. The little boy attacked you first. Susanoo replied. It was self-defense. And when the puppeteer realized I was controlling Kabuto's corpse, I thought they wouldn't listen to your propositions anymore. He was just a tool for the puppeteer, and betrayed him in his homeworld. I could have invented a story to explain his actions. Well, I have learned from my failure at trying to manipulate Nagato that subtlety doesn't always pay off. He said. Sometimes, myself, we must take actions instead of hiding. Why offer a partnership when we can simply force him to obey us? Please, you two, calm down, Amaterasu interrupted the argument. Each minute spent bickering is one they use to distance us. Our travel already takes more time than their own, since we have to manually navigate through the way the traveler creates between worlds. We need to hurry if we want to keep our advantage. Tsukiyomi calmed down, and Susanoo too. The third member of the trio was right. Yes, we mustn't attack each other. We don't have anything to gain by doing so. You're right, the man with the Rinnegan said. But I want you to know that I'm not your subordinate, but your associate. As long as that is clear between us, I have no problem with working alongside you. Tsukiyomi locked eyes with his other self. I guess we're going to be friends after all. On a sea covered by mist, a bruised group of ninjas were walking. They had been defeated, they had fled, and one was between life and death, in the arms of a world wanderer. They had walked on the water for hours, and now an island was in view. Do you know which isle it is? A blonde puppeteer asked his teacher. No, he answered. I do, a teenager said. Where are we then? A boy with three voices inside of his head asked. His older twin looked at an unfinished bridge on the horizon. It's the land of waves. Chapter 6, First Wave. Once upon a time, Tsunami had seen the land of waves as a peaceful island, a little paradise near the land of fire. She had walked in streets with healthy and happy people, and seen life in this village. But instead of a heaven, this land of waves was now a hell. Its citizens were miserable, crime was rampant, and the streets were dirty. It was an all-around foxhole, the playground of Gato's goons. Poverty was everywhere, people were despaired, and the economy was crumbling. As long as the bridge wasn't finished, things would stay like that. Her father had left for Konoha, in hope of receiving the village's help, but she didn't know if they would accept. Walking through the streets, she stopped when she noticed a strange group talking to the village's innkeeper in front of his public house. Tsunami never saw them around, and they were, well, bruised, like they had been on the bad end of a thrashing. There were 5, 4 seemed to be of the same family, in fact, and very young. 3 were simply children, the 2 others were teenagers. The only girl of the group was in the worst shape of all, and sleeping in the blonde teenager's arms. From the corner of the street, Tsunami could hear their conversation with the doctor, since there was much shouting involved. "Why not?" the teenager yelled, his blue eyes flaring with fury. "I can't," the doctor said. "Gato's men are already living here, and I'm more or less forbidden to help anyone who doesn't work for him." "We understand," the redhead said emotionlessly. "But you do realize that the girl in my friend's arms is in a critical state, don't you?" The man looked at her, and the redhead continued talking. "We have a lot of money. We can pay you a lot, enough to leave this island and buy a house in another land." "Lot of money?" a voice interrupted them. 3 men opened the inn's house, before closing it. Tsunami recognized some of Gato's thugs. One of them smirked, and showed the group his sword. "I don't know you kids, but since you're here, you must pay some tolls, to finance law enforcement, you see." The youngsters stayed silent a moment. "Shinja-san," the blonde teenager asked the redhead. "Can you keep Akane for a second, so I can give these people their due?" The other took the younger in his arms. "Make it quick." "Of course," the thug smiled. "I see the..." A punch in the face sent him fly through the door. Through. His 2 companions' jaw dropped, and Tsunami watched mesmerized as 2 swirling spheres appeared in the teenager's palms, who rammed them in the belly of the 2 goons, who quickly followed their ally. The innkeeper stared at the blonde in shock, who stayed emotionless. "How many goons are currently in your establishment?" "About 30, the blonde frowned. "I will be back in a minute," he said before entering the inn. "Yes," the boy in green shouted as he followed. "Bar brawl, too much, that's too much," the other boy muttered, holding his head as he entered the inn too. "No. I must," the redhead sighed, and eyed the innkeeper. "Mister, if I can give you some advice, close you eyes." "What do?" A window shattered, as a man went through it. Tsunami gaped as she heard screams coming from the inside, and her blood froze when a deep voice began a chilling song. "And it's so easy when you're crazy. This is the life, you see." The Kyuubi tips his hat to me. "I do it all because I'm crazy, and I do it all for free. Your tears are all the pay I'll ever need." 5 thugs got out of the inn, pushing the proprietor out of the way. "Run the fuck away!" they yelled, as the boy in green exited the establishment, a lot of knives in his hands. "Target practice," he shouted as he threw his weapons at the fleeing men, hitting 4 of them in the legs, while the 5th managed to escape. The boy seemed disappointed. "Damn, get back here! I'm just trying to cripple you." The teenager, Shinja, locked eyes with the petrified innkeeper. "We're all tired, bruised, and our friend is between life and death, so you must understand that we are rather jumpy, and not particularly patient. Now that Gato's men won't bother you anymore, I assume there is a few rooms left for us. Am I wrong?" The man got the hint. "Oh, okay, we're all friends here," the child in green smiled. "Thank you for your help, mister." As the redhead entered the inn, followed by the man and the child, Tsunami thought about her next course of action. These persons were strong, very much skilled, and unaffiliated with Gato. She didn't know what they wanted, but perhaps she had something that would interest them. Even if they didn't look at all like heroes, they might be the saviors the land of waves was waiting for. Naruto sat on a chair, next to the bed on which Naruto was sleeping. His puppeteer self was treating her wounds with his medical skills, learned from Kabuto. His mentally unstable counterpart, his torn orange jumpsuit covered in blood, was looking through the rooms, intact, pain, watching for any sign of potential enemies. Sasori was simply repairing his blade wings in a corner. His puppeteer self sighed. "You weren't joking when you said this place sucked," he said to his older counterpart. "It sucks hard. So much pain, in the heart of men, the war fox in human form trailed off. We should free them from their misery. Naruto paled when he saw the boy's blue eyes becoming red and his voice deepening. The teenager left his chair and put a hand on his shoulder. We will, by striking down the people responsible for this, but not by murdering them all. I agree, his puppeteer self said. After we recover from our wounds, we will teach Gato a lesson. Firstly, because he's a tyrant. Secondly, because I have to work out my nerves on something. And thirdly, because his men tried to racket us. In public, the child's features became normal again. Sorry, the voices are angry at what happened with the masked men. He massaged his temples, and want to wash away their humiliation with rivers of blood. Naruto clenched his fists, as he reviewed the images of Naruto's thrashing in his mind. When is she going to wake? The teenager asked his puppeteer self, as he sat again. I don't know, he answered. I'm not Kabuto, and my knowledge of medical jutsu is average. Without the Kyuubi's help, she won't regain consciousness for a while, if ever. The teenager closed his eyes. I was too weak to protect her, he stated. You couldn't have done anything for her, Sasori's apprentice said. If this guy was as strong as his two teammates, then he was probably impervious to any attack you could throw at him. Don't beat yourself up over that. It doesn't change the fact that they outclass us, the teenager responded, as he opened his eyes. I can't open the way to another world, but I can follow you. And they will probably come after us again. An uneasy silence filled the room. Sasori broke it. Probably not immediately. If they really followed us through the different realities we have visited, then why did they attack at the hostel, in the center of Konoha? Only one of them is a match for our whole group. Two of them were enough to beat us, way before we reached Konoha, where nobody could have helped us. It's merely a supposition, but it's probable that their travel time is longer than our own. They don't have the Kyuubi's chakra to help them, so they must have arrived much later than we did. This way of thinking would explain why they didn't attack sooner, his apprentice said. But even if we have some time, we are still outmatched. I mean, I have lost all my puppets, Kabuto is dead, Naruto is in a coma, your body is damaged, I still can't contact the Kyuubi, we are all tired, bruised, and our stock of basic stuff like kunai and explosive tags is low. He sighed. If we're attacked by these guys now, we won't last more than 5 minutes. It pains me to say so, but you're right, Sasori declared. But we're on an island so small that it doesn't figure on most maps, and we arrived here by accident. It will take them days to find our exact location. We have to heal our wounds and prepare for another attack in the near future. Fortunately, there is plenty of wood around to repair myself, and I have some ideas on new puppets to use against this trio. Naruto narrowed his eyes. Does anyone have an idea on who they are exactly, or how their powers work? I know they have the Sharingan, but I don't know what that Susanu's second eye is. In fact, when the Kyuubi took over my body, his puppeteer self muttered, it roared the real name of Uchiha Madara, the fallen lord of the Uchiha? Sasori frowned. It would explain some of their abilities. The man had obtained a rare and unique version of the Sharingan, through terrible deeds. Some of the powers this trio has displayed must come from it. The second eye, however, is completely new to me, a fact that disturbs me greatly. It might be a whole new bloodline. It's obvious we need to improve if we want to fight them, Naruto stated. He remembered the Kyuubi's words about Madara, who had fought evenly against the strongest Kage in existence. The man and his counterparts were way out of Naruto's league for the time. Sasori nodded before eyeing his apprentice. After I repair myself and you recreate your own puppets, we will continue your lessons. You need to know how to use heavily armored machines as soon as possible. He locked eyes with Naruto. I have something that might help you develop your skills. The teenager raised his eyebrows, interested. What is it? I collected, interesting, scrolls while I was traveling around the world. A few of them contain techniques which you can learn. And me? His insane self asked. I will be your tutor, Naruto answered. Being the only one there with some basic experiences at how using the Kyuubi's chakra, he was the best suited for the job. The war fox in human form nodded approvingly. The voices agree. You're strong, and they respect strength. You know, it's quite creepy, Naruto's puppeteer self muttered. But I'm so tired I won't bother to remark on it. You've been called creepy too, once upon a time, Sasori pointed out. Yes, that's why I'm refraining myself from saying it out loud, he declared. You guys are the closest thing I have to a family, so I don't want to hurt you. I have heard things far worse than creepy, the human war fox responded. Plus it's the truth. I am a monster, never say that. Naruto's puppeteer self glared at him. You're not a monster, and you will never be. You're a person, not a beast. I have listened to enough stupid people in Konoha, so I'm not going to let their words affect you either. The boy stayed silent. Thank you, it's a pleasure. Yes, the world traveler thought. We have all suffered the same treatment, even I. He still remembered clearly the many times he had been ignored and insulted by people from his village. Never again, he promised. I won't let anyone go through this ordeal alone ever again. The insane Naruto frowned. A woman has entered the hostel. Everyone stared at him. How does she look? Naruto asked. She will knock on the door of our room soon, the boy said. She's unarmed, weak and fragile, and we are hungry. His eyes became red again. A look from his teenage self made him return to a normal state. Sorry, it's nothing, Naruto said as someone did knock at the door. Naruto went to open it, and found himself face to face with a figure of his past. While it had been 3 years since he had seen Tsunami for the last time, she was still the same woman he had known, appearance-wise. She had the same long dark hair, the same black eyes, and the same outfit. She seemed slightly tense. Naruto smiled. Hello, miss, he trailed off. Tsunami. Sideways, he saw his puppeteer self frowning slightly, before correcting his expression. He had already narrated to the group his adventures in the Land of Waves, and of Inari's mother, Kazama Erasure, he said, using his previous alias. What can I do for you? He asked, even if he had a vague idea of what she wanted. Well, I saw you fight Gato's thugs, Tsunami stated, briefly paling when she noticed his insane self's blood-stained clothes, and I was wondering if you were ninjas. The strange orbs you used were jutsu, weren't they? Naruto nodded approvingly. We are indeed ninjas, Miss Tsunami, and not on Gato's payroll. I assume you aren't yourself too? No, she said. In fact, my family is opposed to him. May I come in? Of course, Naruto moved out of the way. Take a chair. Thank you, Tsunami said as she sat next to Naruto's bed. What happened to her? The world traveler frowned. We fought against another ninja team. One of them gave her a sound beating. I see. Excuse me for asking. Don't worry about it, he said. Who are you exactly? And what do you want? Well, she started. I am the daughter of a man named Tazuna. The bridge builder? Sasori asked. I see. You want us to protect him from the assassins Gato will send after him, since the project makes his shipping monopoly useless. Yes, she said. My father has gone to the mainland to recruit ninjas from Konoha, but since their prices are generally high, he will probably have to trick them, or end up with a team probably not strong enough to fight the missing means working for Gato. I will pay you all I have, she closed her eyes, even myself, if I have to. You won't need to pay us, since your father's protection won't matter in the end, Sasori said. You realize it's only a temporary solution, don't you? If the bridge is still in place and Gato alive, then he will make it explode or something. At best he will try to find another country to oppress, and at worst everything you have done will be crushed. Perhaps, but Gato is one of the most powerful men in the world. He can't be killed so easily. I disagree, Naruto's puppeteer self cut in. He is one of the most powerful civilians in the world, but in terms of international politics, he's nothing. Nobody interrupts his operations because they don't affect any of the ninja villages, and because they have things more important to do than killing such a small fish. We can kill him, if you want. Really? She asked, amazed. Yes, and for free, Naruto said. Host us for the time of our stay on this island, and we will kill Gato for you. Tsunami's expression was a mix of disbelief and hope. The woman looked as if she wanted to believe their words, while at the same time years of despair had made her distrusting of them. Why? She asked. Why? He repeated. Gato is a tyrant, and your island is decaying. It's a sufficiently important reason to topple him. Yep, his puppeteer self agreed. That, and I doubt he will leave us alone after we massacred dozens of his men, Sasori added, cynical as ever. As long as I get to kill someone, I'm okay with it. Naruto repressed the urge to glare at the possessed boy, even if he knew he couldn't control himself. Tsunami paled and locked eyes with the war fox in human form, but his traits had become normal again. However, Naruto said, if you're going to enlist us, I would like you to make sure that word of our staying on this island doesn't spread. We have attracted the attention of worse individuals than Gato, and they will probably attack the Land of Waves if they learn we're here. I'm willing to take the risk, she declared. And honestly, no info ever gets out of Waves. Gato has made it clear that anyone speaking about the situation would end up at the bottom of the sea. Naruto nodded. We have a deal then? Yes, she confirmed, before eyeing his comrades. What are your names? The woman asked. Chibaku Erasure, his puppeteer self responded. The girl is my sister, Akane Erasure, Shinja Takano, Sasori said. Kitsune Erasure, the boy muttered, after a short silence. Somehow, Naruto had the feeling that the Kyuubi had whispered this alias in its vessel's mind. Tsunami smiled. Well, welcome to the land of waves. Naruto had to admit, their host had a beautiful little house, in an idyllic setting, far away from the wretched town. It looked like Sasori's old house, back in his homeworld. The memories made him sigh. He kind of missed the old, creepy laboratory. At least, the hostess was pretty. Naruto, despite his age, was a growing man, and he could appreciate beauty when he saw it. Even if she was too old for him, Tsunami was a good-looking woman, and if her hidden looks at his teenage counterpart were of any indication, she was interested in younger men. The scene of the two in a bed formed in his mind, and he slightly blushed. Gritting his teeth, the boy in green forced himself to think about something else. Must not think like a pervert. Naruto will kill me if she learns about that. Yeah, it would be fun to watch. Naruto stopped walking a few seconds before continuing to advance toward Tsunami's house. Kyuubi! You're back. I miss you a lot. Well, I think I will miss your absence even more. Impudent child, the creature whispered. You should treat your betters with respect, especially when you have seen how much weaker you are when I'm not here to save you. You're talking about my battle with Amaterasu? Well, I think I put up a good fight against a guy probably as strong as Sasori. Also, you're the one that got sent back to your fox house, not me. It won't happen again, I can promise you. These men will pay for defying me, and you will be the instrument of my holy revenge. Okay. Sounds good to me. You are actually accepting my help? Without distrust? Well, I will need your strength against these guys, and I too have to avenge myself, and Naruto along the way. They broke my 3 puppets and put her in a coma, and for that, they're going to pay. The Kyuubi chuckled in his mind. You know what, you will make a fine demon someday. Somehow, your compliment fills me with shame. For now, monkey. For now, Inari. Tsunami shouted. Come. We have some guests. A little boy exited the house, looking at the group with hollow eyes. He didn't say anything. Inari, don't be impolite. They're here to help your grandfather, you know. He stayed unfazed. Why bother? They are all going to die. Naruto grit his teeth. But before he could snarl at the boy, he had returned to his home faster than the wind. Tsunami sighed. Excuse my son? Some events have disturbed him recently. She's a mom? Naruto wondered. Damn, she's a babe and a mommy. How did she look when she was younger? Can you please stop with the mental images? They are disgusting, sorry. Mustn't be a pervert, mustn't be a pervert, mustn't be a pervert. Much better. I fear the day you fall in love. I really do. Oh crap, now I'm the one creating the mental images. Thanks a lot, pervert monkey. I'm not a pervert. He shouted, before realizing that everyone was looking at him with strange looks. He broke the awkward silence. Sorry, they continued to stare at him. Jerk, idiot. Well, Naruto certainly needs a bed and a medical examination, he said with a cheerful smile. Why not give them to her, instead of talking? His older self frowned. Yes, of course. Kitsune, can you carry her to a bedroom? Watch her closely. He looked sideways at Naruto. Asshole, I like you too, my pet. As they entered the house, Naruto noticed Sasori taking his older self to another room. What kind of sick plan were they going to think up? What do you want to talk about, Sasori-san? Naruto asked the redhead. They were alone in a room. Strategy, the puppeteer stated. As we have discussed before, we will have to prepare for a future battle. I had thought about finding another me, to help as reinforcement, but since we are on an island in the middle of nowhere, and that he can be on the other side of the continent, it's pretty much a lost cause. So we will not have any help. Perhaps we will, Naruto countered. My genin team protected Tizuna in my homeworld, against the ninjas in his employ, Zabuza and his team. The former swordsman of the mist? Yes, Naruto confirmed. Gato betrayed him and his acolyte Haku, leading to their death. I see. Maybe we can recruit them as additional muscle. Yes, once Gato betrays them, your team is also going to show up. If events happen the same way, then I should be in Hatake Kakashi's team, alongside Sasuke Uchiha and Sakura Haruno. Another team might replace them, but if they do come, then we could recruit your counterpart, and maybe the rest of his team, Sasori finished. Interesting. But since we're in another universe, things might take a different turn. We must be ready to fight without any help. And I have something that could help you increase your abilities. Touching his heart with his fingers, Sasori materialized something in his hands in a puff of smoke. Here are the scrolls I was talking about, the puppeteer said, as he showed Naruto a red box, before opening it. 5 scrolls were inside, each a different color and a different seal keeping them wrapped up, each taking the form of an animal. The first was blue, with a horned dragon seal. The second was red, with a bird seal. The third was white, with a tiger seal. The fourth was black, with a tortoise seal. The final one was golden, with a horned horse seal. They are beautiful, Naruto stated, as he took the blue one and opened it. However, the content was all white. He locked eyes with Sasori. Why are they blank? They are sealed, the puppeteer answered. Gather your chakra in your fingers, and touch the dragon. Obeying, Naruto watched mesmerized as ink appeared from nowhere, writing scriptures and words on the paper. While he didn't know the language, the world traveler could read it, instinctively. He gaped. They are techniques. Not any techniques, Sasori smirked. They are the Uzumaki clan's secret arts, the leftover legacy of Uzushiogakure. Naruto's eyes widened. My clan's secret techniques? Like the Naruto's shadow techniques? Not only, the missing Nin answered. They contain the knowledge the clan gathered during its long existence. Jutsu, Genjutsu, and how to use their bloodline. The blonde's jaw dropped. My clan has a bloodline? Yes, or more precisely, a unique chakra that all Uzumaki have. I will explain that later. Anyway, these 5 scrolls are unique and are a miniature library. You should find many ways to fight this Uchiha trio in the future. Yes, Naruto agreed, as he read a portion of text explaining how to use Genjutsu using the voice as a vector. But how did you get your hands on these? That, my friend, is a long story. But since we have some time before us, why not telling it in its entirety? He sat on the ground. Naruto nodded, imitating the puppeteer. It's linked to the story of my clan, isn't it? Yes, though since you come from a different world, it might be different. Naruto, though, about that. You know, Sasori, I was thinking about something about the different universes I have traveled in. The man observed him, silently demanding him to continue. All the worlds I have seen more or less look the same, on a global scale, he explained. I mean, the major events had happened, if slightly differently. Konoha had the same Hokages. The Uchiha clan has been massacred. The Hyuga used the caged bird seal. The Kyuubi attacked the village. Orochimaru left. Your other self more or less acted like you. The changes are details. The details are somewhat important, Sasori said. The reasons behind the destruction of the Uchiha clan vary widely. Even if Itachi is still the main architect of the massacre, Konoha's help is an important factor. Yes, but the details snowball, Naruto responded. A drunk shouting led to your meeting with one of my counterpart, while my insane self-attempt at befriending Hinata led to a tragedy. A few choices and decisions have changed the face of the world. Perhaps it is how the worlds are created? Sasori nodded. If each choice, each possibility shapes a new universe, then even the decision of lifting a finger creates a new one. If different choices collide, then history can barely change, or take new path. If Naruko's parents decided to conceive her at another time than you, then it explains the sex difference. Or a little kunai, thrown seconds before another, might explain why Akatsuki evolved differently. If the one destined to corrupt the organization had been removed accidentally, the possibilities are endless. Perhaps a slight change in behavior saved your teammates from Orochimaru in another universe, or led to your death. Naruto, though, about that. Then what am I? If I can travel between the realities. Sasori frowned. You were not meant to exist. It's only a supposition, but we are an alien presence in a universe where we shouldn't be. We are a paradox, the citizens of an alternate universe influencing another, screwing around with fate itself. I don't know what are the possible consequences of our staying, but we should be wary. If there is some kind of force behind the creation of new universes, perhaps we will attract its attention, and I honestly don't know what will happen then. Naruto closed his eyes. Anyway, it's merely a supposition. Perhaps there isn't an endless number of universes, simply a finite number created by gods or forming accidentally. But it doesn't change the fact that many things do not differ from one world to another. So can you explain the history behind these scrolls? Events might have happened the same way in my homeworld, since I never heard anything about my clan, or about Uzushiogakure for the matter. Sasori nodded. It doesn't surprise me, since they have been eradicated to near extinction. The Uzumaki clan was a distant relative of the Senju, who founded Konoha alongside the Uchiha. After Konoha's construction, they created their own village, Uzushiogakure, on an island near the coast, today at the bottom of the sea. The Uzumaki clan was rather small, less than 300 members at their prime, but they were known for two things: their extensive knowledge of sealing techniques, and their extremely potent chakra. The second gave them an important longevity and an incredible constitution, and the first allowed them to create the first Jinchuriki. Naruto's jaw dropped. What? The original demon vessel was Mito Uzumaki, the Shodame's wife. She used her clan's techniques to trap the Kyuubi within herself after her husband's duel with Uchiha Madara, to prevent the use of the bijou by another traitor. After her husband's assassination, she refused to give up the knowledge of Jinchuriki creation, honoring the Shodame's last wish, but fought for Konoha when the other ninja villages banded together against it, starting the First Shinobi World War. She stayed the only Jinchuriki alive, until the Second Shinobi World War. Sasori locked eyes with Naruto. You must understand that the Uzumaki had gone to great lengths to preserve their potent chakra. They practiced inbreeding, and the only marriages outside of the clan were with the Senju, who were distant relatives. While their chakra preserved them from most of the problems caused by inbreeding, like mental instability, it didn't help their fertility. The clan was small and isolationist. So when Kiri attacked them at the beginning of the Second World War, they were grossly outnumbered. 1 to 20, in fact. Yuzushigakure was the Land of Fire's coastal defense, in exchange for material, Sasori explained. They were the perfect buffer to stop Kiri, so it attacked them with the intent of destroying that nuisance, permanently. A vast fleet invaded the village by surprise, while Suna attacked Konoha on the mainland. An organization now known as the Seven Swordsmen of the Mist was created at that time to exterminate the Uzumaki clan, and its potent chakra. They almost succeeded. Assassins hunted down the survivors, until the last members could be counted on the fingers of one hand. I suppose Mito was less than pleased, Naruto guessed. She was furious, Sasori confirmed the probable understatement of the century. She went berserk with the Kyuubi's power and destroyed the fleet, before sinking her island to prevent it from falling into Kiri's possession. Unfortunately, the invaders had stolen some parts of the village's knowledge on sealing, which spread to the whole ninja world, giving birth to modern sealing and to new types of Jinchuriki. The new seals were original creations, however, adapted from incomplete arrays. The new Jinchuriki were far more unstable than Mito. A few stray memories rushed through Naruto's mind, as he remembered his battle with Gaara during the Chunin exam. The Kyuubi's vessel had thought himself as the norm, while it seemed he was instead the exception to the rule. Despite everything, Sasori continued, Mito refused to reveal her knowledge. She instead taught her arts to a survivor saved by Konoha, your mother, Kushina Uzumaki. Before transferring the Kyuubi to her, Kushina taught sealing to Minato, while the Sandame, Jiraiya and Orochimaru reached their level by studying extensively the field and the theory behind it. However, modern sealing is simply the shadow of the Uzumaki's art. Naruto nodded. I assume these scrolls had been stolen during Kiri's attack? Yes, the puppeteer confirmed. But unlike the rest, they were useless. Only the chakra of an Uzumaki clansman can make the words appear on the paper, and only an Uzumaki clansman can read the language. Kiri kept their existence a secret, but I successfully stole them in the wake of the Mist's civil war. He posed the 5 scrolls on the floor. From what I know, each one contains unique techniques created by the village as a whole, like Konoha's Forbidden Scroll. The creatures on the seal represent the element the techniques are linked to. He pointed to them with his index finger. Fire, he said as he pointed to the red scroll with the bird seal. Wind, he pointed to the white scroll with the tiger seal. Lightning, he pointed to the blue scroll with the dragon seal. Earth, he pointed to the golden scroll with the horned horse seal. Water, he pointed to the black scroll with the tortoise seal. Also, they contain other unique styles of taijutsu, genjutsu, sealing. They are Uzumaki's most precious treasure, and your legacy. I intended to offer them to my disciple once he had finished his apprenticeship as a puppeteer, but with a group of Kage-level enemies after us, I think it is the perfect time to use them. Since Kabuto's diagnostic had identified you as oriented toward wind, I think you should begin with the white scroll, but you should also look into the others, if some techniques suit your needs. Naruto nodded. Thanks, Sasori. It's a precious gift. Explain to me how to use the Kage Bunshin and the Rasengan, and we're even. The vessel smiled. Of course, he said as he took the scrolls and hid them under his cape. Can you elaborate on the part about my clan's bloodline? It's an exceptionally potent chakra, so potent it can be used in its natural form without hand seals or nature manipulation. You must know how normal chakra works, no? He asked rhetorically. It's the combination of physical and mental energy, he stated. Basically yes, Sasori agreed, but chakra is also a genetic trait, to a degree. Elemental affinities are transmitted trough generations, and affect the body slowly. Shinobi reach physical maturity faster than civilian children, and then age slower. Look at the Sandaime Hokage. A civilian of the same age would look 15 years older, even with exercise and a life devoid of excess. Look at you, you're 15 and look like a young adult. Look at the Kunoichi of Konoha. A 30-year-old woman would seem to be in her 20s. I can continue with the examples, but I assume you have understood. Naruto nodded. It effectively explained many things. Well, the Uzumaki's chakra is so potent that the normal effects are much more exceptional, and make it possible to learn all elemental affinities. Also, it gives an instinctive knowledge of shape and chakra manipulation, the reason why Yuzushiogakure was so efficient at creating powerful seals. Naruto felt like he had been struck by a lightning bolt. If he had such a knowledge, then it might explain how he had succeeded in mastering the Kage Bunshin so quickly, or how he had managed to use the Rasengan in less than 3 weeks, while it had taken more than 3 years for the Yondaime to create it. Sasori smirked. Naruto's astonishment must have shown on his face. Yes, it's probably why you're so efficient at ninjutsu. And yes, you inherited this powerful chakra, but some elements made it impossible for you to develop it properly. The teenager frowned. The Kyuubi interfered with your chakra system since your birth. It probably slowed down its maturation, and the lack of decent training probably crippled it. But now that your beast does not affect you anymore, and that you have pointers, I'm confident in your ability to develop this gift to a better extent than my own disciple. It's strange, however, Naruto said. How could I have inherited this power, if my father didn't have it? Sasori smirked. It will take some time to answer this question. Go on. Have you heard the legend of the Sage of the Six Paths? Sasori asked. Naruto nodded. He's the creator of ninjutsu. Not only. While he lived a millennium ago, the sage probably existed, Sasori stated. Kabuto's research has shown that many people with Kekkai Genkai have a common ancestor, who was active in his time, if you know what I mean. The teenager's jaw dropped. The sage was a Casanova? Probably. He left dozens of children behind him, all normal people. However, when they married accidentally, or their descendants did, they gave birth to modern bloodlines. Kekkai Genkai are not a dominant trait, and only appear if the parents have a dormant, or active bloodline. It explains why Tsunadeheim never showed any predilection to trees, since her father was a normal shinobi. Same deal with the Nidaime. His parents each had a dormant Kekkai Genkai, but the power stayed dormant within him. It also explained why Haku was born with the Hayatan. Her father must have had a dormant bloodline. The bastard was the very thing he hated. How ironic. You imply that my father was a descendant of the sage? I don't imply anything, I affirm it. The Yondaime had a dormant bloodline, which made you inherit your mother's chakra, like your other selves. It generally happens like that. A dominant bloodline is expressed, while the other stays dormant. There are cases where a child is born with multiple bloodlines, when both are dominants, but they are rare and avoided. Why? He asked. It would be a formidable asset. People with multiple Kekkai Genkai tend to be insane. There are some sane ones, but they are the exceptions to the rule. Mentally unstable ninjas with multiple bloodlines have caused many tragedies in the past. One, in fact, tried to exterminate anyone without a bloodline during the clan era, Sasori stated. As a result, most of the children showing more than one ability are killed at birth, and those who survive are heavily discriminated against, like a Jinchuriki. Generally, they have the same problems as them. They crack under the pressure one day. Some successfully triumph over prejudice, like the Godaime Mizukage, born with 2 gifts, but most end up as missing neens or as monsters. I see, Naruto said. The guy that thrashed Naruto, Susanoo, has 2 bloodlines. If his god complex is of any indication, he's an example of this category, maybe. Or he is sane, but just has an ego bigger than the Hokage monument. Probably the second possibility, Sasori deadpanned. The teenager smiled. I have one last question. Do you know what happened to my parents' belongings? I mean, a Hokage and a master of sealing must have left something behind for their child. No, officially, the Yondaime died without an heir, Sasori explained. It was to protect you, of course. The Yondaime had many enemies, and if they could, they would have probably tried to take revenge against him through his living legacy. His possessions were nationalized by the village. About Kushina, well, you used her apartment, and the rest of her belongings had been stolen by various people, in case she had hidden anything about sealing in them. Naruto frowned. I see, I think that our quest through the universes is perhaps my chance at recreating the Uzumaki clan, or at finding possible relatives. Sasori smirked. Maybe, one day, we will arrive in a world where Yuzushiobikure is still standing. It's a good thing to think beyond jumping through universes with only one goal in mind. Your power can lead you to discover many things. Beside evading the men after us and killing Gato, I assume that you have other objectives in mind? The vessel nodded. I have to return to my homeworld, and see if my friends are all right. I want to discover the names of the men behind the conspiracy the Sandaime was talking about. One of my counterparts needs help to heal from his madness, Naruto has to be sheltered, and Kabuto has to be avenged. Believe me, Sasori, I have a lot of goals beyond helping my other selves. In Yuzushiobikure's case, since I still don't know in what universe I'm jumping into, it might take some time before we find it. Some practice may help you improve your power. This trio has already proven they can affect space, so you must be. The door suddenly opened, interrupting Sasori. The duo turned to face Naruto's werefox self. Hurry up! Naruto-chan has a problem. The two immediately rose up and followed the child through the house, before reaching Naruto's bedroom. A blonde puppeteer was practicing medical jutsu on her. He looked sideways at them. Her heartbeat is slowing down. I'm trying to stabilize it, but, Naruto. Naruto reached out to her and took her hand in his own. Please don't die. They were all gazing at her with fearful stares. We're all waiting for you to wake up. Tears began to roll from his eyes as he sensed her fingers move. Naruto was alone in a dark sewer. She was lying on rippling water, her eyes closed, before a giant cage. Two gigantic eyes were gazing at her, like two red moons in a black night. All around them, the walls were damaged, broken. When are you going to awaken? The Kyuubi asked her. The girl didn't respond, but opened her eyes. They are all waiting for you to return to consciousness, the Bijou declared as images formed in the darkness. She saw her sensei watching over her, her insane self and Sasori beside him. Her puppeteer self was treating her with medical chakra, with obvious worry in his eyes. You can, if you have the will to do so. Her surroundings twisted, and the sewer transformed into a black, angry sea. She saw Susanoo rising from the dark water, laughing at her. You! Waking up? You weren't able to protect your twin from me, you weren't even able to protect yourself. The apparition narrowed his eyes. You're just a pathetic excuse of a warrior. Naruto stayed silent and closed her eyes. You are nothing! The masked man shouted. Do you hear me? Nothing. His voice began to gloat. You're a whelp, trying to fight against what is beyond your skills. You are an ant in a cruel world. Wallow in your misery and abandon hope. Stay asleep, in the eternal darkness, where you will always be lonely, Naruto. Stay alone in your dreams, forever. Please don't die. Sleep now, as your end cannot, and will never, be stopped. We're all waiting for you to awake. Opening her eyes, Naruto rose up, and stood over the water facing the illusion. I am not afraid of you. The man's mask cracked slightly, and his mismatched eyes became two red lights. You are. Don't you remember the pain and the despair? Don't you remember? I am your fear. I am your death. I remember, she said. But it doesn't matter. It does. The mirage cracked even more. Why are you resisting? Why are you standing? Why do you persist? Images of her friends appeared beside her, glaring at the illusion. Because they are counting on me. Because they love me. And because I will protect them from you, even at the cost of my life. No! The illusion screamed as he began to shatter more and more. No! Naruto glared at the image. Disappear! She ordered. No! The illusion screamed as it exploded in a flash of light. A second later she opened her eyes. Hello everyone, she muttered. They all stared at her. Naruto-sensei was crying out of joy, her insane self's face beamed, her puppeteer counterpart smiled, and Sasori smirked. And then, she almost squealed when her sensei hugged her, quickly imitated by his two younger copies. Sasori simply put his hand on her head. Hello, Naruto, her teacher muttered. Welcome back. Don't even dare to do that to us again, flat lady, Naruto-chan. I'm glad you're alive, we all are. You made us quite nervous, Naruto-san. She smiled at her family. Sorry. I won't worry you again, I promise. But then, she realized something. Flat lady? Her other self cringed. This is going to suck, isn't it? Yes, she said. I will give you a 10-second head start. He fled immediately. Naruto's eyes widened. What? Train me? Naruto repeated, as they were standing in front of the house, before the mesmerized stares of the World Travelers group and of Tsunami. She was still wrapped in bandages, but active and standing, unlike another blonde covered with bruises and carried on Sasori's back. "No," he said. "You're still recovering from your wounds." "It doesn't matter," she responded, grinning. "As long as I can stay on my feet, I want to train and to struggle. I want to kick the ass of that Susanoo asshole, and of that Gato jerk too." The vessel massaged his temples. "I've got the feeling I'm going to accept, much to my dismay." He simply couldn't refuse her anything, not after she had just woken up. "Yes." She jumped in place. "Thanks, boss. I won't disappoint you, I promise." "That's stupid." The duo, and everyone present, looked at the source of the outburst, Inari, who had left the house. Naruto cringed inwardly, as he realized the boy was going to give them the same lecture about not fighting against Gato that his other self had said to the world traveler. "It doesn't matter how much you train," Inari yelled. "It's useless to struggle, since nobody can beat Gato. He has an army of mercenaries, and he's going to kill you all." Naruto sneered. "I have fought death once, kid. I can do it again." "Why do you fight then?" he screamed. "Gato is too strong, he's going to kill you all. Everyone who goes against him is doomed to die." "You're all G." A punch in the jaw interrupted his rant, making him fall on the floor. Naruto's fist was still clenched, and an emotionless Sasori prevented Tsunami from coming to her son's rescue by putting his hand on her shoulder. "Do not intervene." "But, you won't always be there to protect him," the puppeteer cut in. "He has to learn to stand for himself." The woman grit her teeth, but did not move, even as her son looked up, shocked, at his female aggressor. "Little boy," Naruto began, "while I dislike many things, your kind really takes the cake. I just can't stand cowards like you. You dare to tell us not to fight, when we're trying to help your mother? To say that everyone that goes against the tyrant that's abusing your country is doomed to die? Good news, genius, your mother is opposing him. Is she doomed to die too?" she asked, looking down at the boy. "Don't fight if you want, but then don't whine if the situation is terrible, since you aren't trying to change it. You know nothing," the child shouted, slightly crying. "You act cheerfully because you don't know how life really is." "I do," she snarled. "And better than you. I don't know your story, but at least you have a mother and a grandfather that love you, and aren't hated by every single human in your hometown. I had been alone and distrusted, until I met my friends. I have fought a man that could shatter walls with his bare hands, so I won't back down against a crime lord who hides behind his men and money. As long as I have a chance to win, I will continue to fight, even against someone out of my league." She locked eyes with Naruto. "I don't want to talk to this winner anymore, sensei. Please, can we leave?" The vessel nodded. "We will go near the coast. Kitsune, come with us." "You're going to train with us?" she asked the troubled child, who nodded. She hopped in place. "Awesome." As the trio left, Naruto looked sideways at a crying Inari. He hoped the young boy would learn the same lesson about hope that his other self had. 5 solid clones of Naruto materialized next to the original, while only 3 Werefox Naruto appeared. The vessel clapped his hands. "Congratulations. It's quite impressive for your first try." They were in a clearing, training at using the Kagebunshin. He had decided to teach them the jutsu, which would help them a lot once they began to read the scrolls. "Thanks, Naruto-sensei," the 6 Narukos shouted together. "Team Naruto is now at your service." Naruto smiled, and the memories of one of his clones appeared in his head. They had opened the Tiger Scroll, and had begun to practice some new techniques. Really, the Kagebunshin training method truly was efficient. "It is too hard," his insane self rasped, as his eyes became red. The clones twisted into red masses of flesh and fur, before vanishing in a puff of smoke. "Too hard to maintain control," he began to transform. "Myself, please calm yourself." Naruto trailed off. "Do not listen to the voices, you're stronger than them." I, he returned to normal. "It's hard," he began to cry. "It's too hard. Why can't they leave me alone? Why?" he screamed, holding his head. Naruto walked next to him, before putting his hands on the boy's shoulders. "It's in their nature to torment you, that's why. But you don't have to fear them." "Yeah," Naruto said, as her clones vanished. "You're the best. You can dominate them." He looked sideways at her. "You're sure?" "Yeah. I mean, they are the ones squatting your mind. They are your tenants, not your masters. You're the guy in charge in your head." He trailed off. "I see, yes, they are not stronger than me, but sometimes they are, and I can't stop my bloodlust." Naruto locked eyes with the younger boy. "I promise you that any time they try to take control, We will be here to prevent you from hurting an innocent. One day, you will be able to live without struggling all the time. And we will make sure it arrives." He looked up at him. "You promise?" "I promise," he smiled. "I promise too," Naruto affirmed. "And I never break my word." He stayed silent a few seconds. "Thanks. You're my dearest people," Naruto nodded. He would make sure this boy could grow up as a stable man, and not as a second Gaara. He frowned. He sensed some chakra nearby. A strange and thick mist arrived, and Naruto recognized the technique. "Zabuza is nearby," he thought. Naruto, prepare yourselves. This is not a natural phenomenon." The two children straightened up. "Is it an ambush?" Naruto asked. "Not for us, I think." The epicenter of the jutsu was located farther inland of the island, precisely at the place where his team had met Zabuza for the first time. "I think that Tsunami's father has returned, and is threatened by someone. That technique is used for assassinations," he stated. "Follow me, and be ready to fight. We're going to rescue him." The two children obeyed, and the trio ran through the woods, reaching a small lake near the town. Hiding behind the trees, they observed carefully the scene unfolding before them. Kakashi and his team were protecting Tazuna, shielding him with their bodies. A gigantic blade was embedded in a tree, and Zabuza was standing on it. Below him, Kisame Hashigake was smiling, swinging Samahata cheerfully. Oh crap. But the most disturbing thing wasn't the presence of an S-rank missing Nin alongside Zabuza, but Team 7. Sasuke and Kakashi were the same as always, but Sakura was wearing orange robes, while Naruto was wearing a green outfit. The Kyuubi's chakra wasn't emanating from Naruto. He wasn't the Kyuubi's Jinchuriki in this universe. Sakura was. Chapter 7, Brutal Reunions. Kakashi Hatake wasn't a happy jounin. First of all, he had gotten the worst team ever. The last Uchiha, his sensei's son, and the Kyuubi's vessel. The first was acting like Kakashi himself at the same age, by being a total, self-centered asshole that needed to be handled with care. The second was a carbon copy of the Yondaime, in body and mind. He couldn't stop himself from seeing the boy as his old teacher, nor stop remembering the day of his death. Finally, there was Sakura Haruno, her class dead last, clown, and most unsettling student ever. While Kakashi was aware that the Kyuubi wasn't controlling her, no matter what the village was saying, he still knew she was dangerous. But mainly, her constant creepy smile was beginning to annoy him. Secondly, Kakashi was in a very bad situation. Years of working as ninja had immediately made the Jounin notice Tazuna's lies. Despite his official story, the bridge builder was obviously fearing an attack. And the awaited ambush finally came, in the form of two Chunin, the Demon Brothers, a duo of small fries he had quickly defeated. After requiring an explanation from Tazuna, who had explained them the situation in the Land of Waves, Kakashi had thought about coming back to Konoha to protect his students. However, the rest of Team 7 had decided to continue the mission: Sasuke, to prove his worth, Naruto, to help the citizens of Waves, and Sakura, because she didn't want to hinder her teammates. They had convinced him to finish the mission, and now he was regretting his decision. While the Demon Brothers were small fries, Zabuza Momochi and Kisame Hashigake were two of the deadliest ninjas Kiri had ever produced. And they were Suiton specialists, and near a lake. And Kakashi's backup was a team of 3 genin. Yeah, the situation was bad. "Hello, copycat Kakashi," the Demon of the Mist declared. "Honored to meet you. Give us the bridge builder, and we will leave you and your brats alive. We have orders, you see," Kakashi scowled. "Two famous ninjas like you, working for someone like Gato? I would have never expected that from you. Let me guess, you're trying to gather funds for another coup?" "Of course," Kisame smirked. "That, and it gives us the opportunity to fight powerful opponents like yourself. But we are open to diplomacy, like we're going to let you touch Tazuna-san." Naruto snarled. Kisame chuckled. "You know, little boy, it's impolite to interrupt a conversation between adults. They could take it badly." His hold on Samahata tightened. Zabuza snorted. "Especially when you haven't killed anyone, unlike us." "Yeah, I know from your stance that you're just a bunch of fresh meat, clean and ready to be eaten." Kakashi frowned. "As soon as I create an opening, take Tazuna with you and flee," he ordered his genin. "They are way out of your league." "And you, Kakashi-sensei?" Naruto asked, eyeing him, like Sasuke and Sakura. He smiled. "Don't worry, everything will be fine," he lied, taking a battle stance, ready to reveal his Sharingan. "I can defeat them, but I will need some space. Kisame is known for his destructive way of fighting, and I don't want you nearby." Zabuza laughed. "What, are they too weak to fight?" They shouldn't be ninjas if they aren't ready to risk their life and go for the kill. The trio stiffened, and especially Sasuke. Oh, I hit a sensitive point? The swordsman asked. You are just fresh meat, aren't you? Clean, untainted by blood, and weak. At your age, we already had blood on our hands. You talk too much, Zabuza, Kisame said. We should attack them now, instead of talking about the past. Zabuza seemed to smirk. Well, you're right. Hit and miss Jut. Kakashi blinked. Kisame blinked. Everyone blinked, as a long sword almost impaled the swordsman, in the middle of his jutsu. He barely avoided the fatal blow, which pierced the tree he was standing on, grazing the man's skin below his shoulder in the process, before retracting behind the fences. At the same time, someone threw a kunai at Kisame's head. While the man avoided it easily, the weapon exploded in a puff of smoke, and the treacherous ninja ended up getting clawed in the face by an orange creature. What the fuck is that? Kakashi wondered as he saw Zabuza leaping to the ground, Kisame flying onto the lake, and a blonde teenager wearing an orange cape coming out from the fences and attacking the demon of the mist with the Rasengan? Yes. Blood, sweet, red nectar, we want to taste it. More screams. More pain. The orange creature roared before staring at Team 7. It looked like a monstrous mix between a fox and a man. New praise awaiting death. And we want them to die. No! A bandaged blonde girl shouted as she emerged from the fences and put herself between the fox and Kakashi's group, who was watching the situation without really understanding what was happening. They are the client's bodyguards. They are the team that Konoha has sent to protect the bridge builder. They are our allies. The enemies are the swordsmen. Yes, they have the same blades as that Amaterasu bastard, the creature muttered. We will take out our nerves on them, and wear their heads as trophies. Good, the blonde girl replied, before staring at Kakashi's team, especially at the bridge builder. Tazuna-san, I presume? Why yes, your daughter, Tsunami, has enlisted us to protect you, she declared, smiling. We are the Erishur family, at your service. Pleased to meet you all. The Erishur family? Never heard of them, Kakashi though. However, they do seem to have huge reserves of chakra, on par with Sakura, which is disturbing. Kids of their age shouldn't have as much chakra as the Kyuubi's Jinchuriki. Who are you exactly? Mercenaries, the blonde girl said. We are here to protect Tazuna-san. I'm Akane, he's Kazama and Ai-chan, she said as she pointed to the teenager fighting Zabuza with her finger, and the big fox is my brother Kitsune. Forgive his attitude, he's rather excited when a battle begins. We're to help you. How can you prove it? Naruto asked. It's strange, you come at the perfect time, at the perfect place, she scowled. If you aren't happy, we can leave you to die against two dangerous missing nin each as strong as your sensei. Well, it would be a shame, Kakashi said, as the introduced Kazama parried Zabuza's blade with his own. The Jounin vaguely found it familiar, but he quickly looked sideways at the lake when he sensed a huge pulse of chakra nearby. Since you seem wounded, can you take my genin away? I have the feeling Kisame hasn't loved your entry, and effectively, dozens of blue sharks of chakra emerged from the water, flying into the air, and began to fall toward the ground. Revealing his Sharingan, much to his team's surprise, Kakashi made a few hand seals, before breathing a stream of fireballs, which collided with the shark missiles. The resulting explosions illuminated the sky. I ordered you to leave, the Jounin said. I need space, and you're occupying it. He didn't have to repeat himself. Naruto nodded, and touched Tazuna's shoulder. Let's go, mister. The bridge builder nodded, before eyeing Akane. Why not run toward my house? Excellent idea, she said, as she took him through the forest nearby, the rest of Team 7 after her. Sakura briefly looked at her sensei before leaving. Good luck, sensei. Yeah, please don't die. Naruto shouted as he fled too. The man smirked. I don't intend to. Then, he locked eyes with the man-fox. Why not gang up on Kisame? Of the two, he's the strongest. Yes, the creature whispered. This battle will make us happy. Damn, he's more creepy than Guy. Kakashi thought, as the lake's water transformed into a tsunami, advancing toward them, Kisame surfing atop it. But if he's as strong as my esteemed rival, then I won't bother telling him that out loud. Kazama, the original, Kazama, acting quickly, jumped on the top of a nearest tree, avoiding the wave created by Kisame. Zabuza followed him and tried to behead him with his sword. Bowing slightly, the vessel saved his life, and then tried to ram a Rasengan into the man's chest, who backed down and landed gracefully on the lake's water, which was now covering a large part of the area. Who the fuck are you? The swordsman snarled as he finished a hand seal sequence. Water Dragon. A snake of liquid formed from the lake and attacked Kazama. Forming 10 clones, the teenager switched places with one of them, leaving him to be crushed while the rest attacked Zabuza hand to hand. The man destroyed 6 of them with a blindingly fast swing of his massive blade. However, he didn't regain his equilibrium before the survivor's feet and fists connected with his body, sending him flying backward. Kazama Erasure, they all said. Nice to meet you, never heard of you. You aren't in my bingo book, Zabuza stated, as he landed on his legs, glaring furiously at the 4 teens before him. If you want to play with doubles, he muttered as he created 10 water clones. I can play as well. That's good, Kazama smirked as he formed 24 new Kage Bunshin, much to the swordsman's amazement. But I'm better at this game than you, the man scowled. We shall see, he said as he charged alongside his copies, beginning a clone battle, which soon devolved into a chaotic melee. But while the 10 Zabuza were outnumbered, their superior skill made them an even match to their enemies. And then, hit and miss technique. The water clone suddenly transformed into a thick fog, obscuring Kazama's sight. Zabuza's voice resonated in the air. Now let me show you the power of the silent killing art of Kirigakure. One after the other, the teenagers' clones were beheaded, and their memories rushed through Kazama's mind. Closing his eyes, taking a kunai in his right hand, the young vessel concentrated. Noticing the slight sound of rippling water behind him, he avoided Zabuza's surprise attack, and tried to stab the man, but failed. An instant later, a chuckle reached his ears. If your superior address and survival instincts are of any indication, I assume you are the original, am I wrong? I will keep you for the end. Inwardly cursing, Kazama began to work up a plan as his last clones were murdered by the man's blade. Forming 10 new clones around him and ignoring the fatigue he felt, Kazama made them disperse. Now, everything is going as planned. When Zabuza's blade came for his neck, the vessel switched places with the nearest clone, who popped into smoke. As the memories rushed through all the clones, they received the location where he had been killed, and in which direction Zabuza was advancing. Converging toward it, the clones circled the man and attacked him with their kunai. The swordsman continued his charge, leaped back to avoid 4 stabs, and got 2 in the back. Growling, the demon of the mist swung his blade, dissipating the clones, before fleeing. Opening his eyes, Kazama followed the slight trace left by the man's dropping blood, emerging from the fog in the process. The vessel, upon noticing a fleeing Zabuza, threw a kunai at his legs, to prevent him from escaping. The water clone exploded. Recognizing the trick, Kazama moved to the side, avoiding the swordsman's water prison jutsu, much to its user's displeasure. What the hell? He asked. Do you have eyes in the back of your skull? He attacked with his sword again, but Kazama jumped, avoiding the attack, and kicked him in the face, making the swordsman lose his balance. Maybe I do, the vessel smirked. What have you done to me? Zabuza asked. I'm not as fast as normal, I feel sick and weak, and I've missed your neck too many times. That's the blade, isn't it? You poisoned it. Yes, the world traveler answered. The poison on the Kuzunaji was an invention of Sasori. The poison wasn't lethal, at least if the victim wasn't physically sick, but the toxin slowly paralyzed the muscles and slowed down the organs' functioning, progressively weakening the opponent. The puppeteer had tried to convince Naruto to make it more potent, but he had refused. The use of his blade was too hazardous in battle for now. What if he cut himself, or a friend, accidentally? It's easier than I thought. Of course, the fact that I took him by surprise certainly helped, Kazama wondered as he continued to attack a dizzy Zabuza with kicks and punches, even if his opponent parried most of his blows. And I have recuperated from my injuries, thanks to my puppeteer self's help. And I know all his tricks. But then, the water's level rose suddenly, and the lake swallowed Kazama and Zabuza both, like a hungry ogre. As Kazama struggled to keep his breath, his enemy disappeared within abyssal darkness. Swimming toward the surface, the vessel emerged, standing up upon the water, and saw the forest, from the sky. The lake had been transformed into a large sphere of turbulent water, of the size of a mountain. The vessel couldn't see anything within it, only a deep blackness, and 2 pair of hands reaching his ankles. An instant later, Kazama was pulled inside the sphere. Zabuza's uncovered face smirked at him, grinning. Kitsune, the werfox. The world was black, and Kitsune couldn't see. The swordsman had used some kind of technique to transform his surroundings into the realm of the abysses. Well, it wasn't exact. While his eyes were blind, he wasn't helpless. He could sense the chakra, movement, and the sounds coming from the swimmers. The voices were whispering to him, helping him, guiding him. The dark will always show us the way. We weren't born in the darkness, we are the darkness. A hybrid creature, looking like a fusion between a shark and a man, swam toward him at an incredible speed, its mouth opened. Reacting quickly, the werfox twisted his body, avoiding the monster's jaws. Instead, he used the opportunity to claw through its skin. Blood mixed with the water, tainting it with red. The shark man disappeared, but his crimson trail didn't. Following it, Kitsune felt alive. His hunger had been awakened by the prospect of taking a life, of fighting for his very survival. It was his whole purpose, to hunt, or be hunted. His mind, shrouded by an insane bloodlust, noticed the creature returning, charging once again. Kitsune did the same, and collided with his opponent, ready for a brawl. The Sharkman Kisame, he suddenly remembered, was stronger, and bit the demonic boy. The madness, stronger than pain, pushed him to try to eviscerate the monster. The deadly embrace lasted for a time, and then they separated, as Kisame ceased his biting in favor of a punch in the ribs, pushing the werfox deeper in the abyssal darkness. From the side, the Jounin Naruto's counterpart wanted him to spare, created a tornado inside of the water. The whirlpool captured Kisame and sent him away. The silver-haired man used another wind technique to propel himself through the liquid, reaching the werfox, grabbing him, and moved alongside him toward the surface. A dozen sharks circled them, preventing them from escaping the sphere. Kitsune wasn't bothered. He could breathe in the water, the voices assured him. However, he was slower, and Kisame was faster. As the duo began to kill the fishes with kunai and claws, the pressure suddenly increased, crushing everyone in the vicinity. As he sensed his bones cracking, the werfox tried to scream, but found that, well, he couldn't. The sharks died, and Kakashi vanished into nothing. The creature recognized him as a shadow clone. Flashes of light illuminated the darkness for a brief period, showing Kitsune a ninja creating sparks into the water, slightly burning the skin of the shark man. The pressure returned to normal, and the werfox struggled to return to the surface. Breathing air, standing over the sphere, the werfox sensed waves of pleasure racing through his body as a red chakra came to heal his wounds, covering his body with a crimson cloak. We will not be defeated a second time, no restraints anymore. We are unstoppable. Feeling something moving under him, Kitsune began to run on the water. Projectiles of chakra erupted from it, and the werfox tried his best to avoid them. After short seconds of such a course, one took him by surprise. He didn't avoid it, because, well, it wasn't a normal projectile. It was the Jounin fighting alongside him. They were both propelled into the air, and the shark man emerged, jumping out of the sphere, ready to devour them. Kitsune's chakra tail acted on its own and smashed him, sending him fly to the side. Hitting the water, the shark man regained his equilibrium and stood still, while the werfox adopted a bestial stance and Kakashi sank, unable to grab the surface to walk on it. Roaring, Kitsune charged at his enemy at an insane speed. A second tail of chakra formed behind his back as he became faster and stronger. Grinning, the shark man adopted a defensive posture, ready for the attack, not even trying to avoid it. The collision's shock shook the whole sphere, making it ripple slightly. The shark man, however, flinched a bit, but resisted the charge, grabbing the werfox with his arms and gripping him with an irresistible strength. Kitsune didn't know how, but Kisame's skin began to absorb the red chakra like a sponge, healing its bruises and wounds in the process. In less than a few seconds, the cloak had vanished and the shark man smirked, increasing his grasp on the werfox and breaking his bones. I can absorb chakra, little beast. You cannot defeat me, he opened his mouth. Still, it was a good fight. Good joy RGH, Kisame screamed, as a ball of lightning went through his lungs, barely missing Kitsune himself. Kakashi was behind the shark man, standing with his arm transpiercing the man's body. The monster flailed brutally, sending the werfox and Kakashi flying away. The sphere began to twist and crumble into wild waves, as the three men fell from it. As the sphere imploded, Kitsune crashed onto a tree and lost consciousness. Kazama, using two Rasengan to propel himself through the water, Kazama tried desperately to distance himself from Zabuza. The Mistneen, despite being weakened by poison, was still faster than him in the water. And he didn't know how, but he could swim with his blade in hand. Perhaps a jutsu? Escaping from the water, on some part of the sphere's surface, Kazama stood still, observing his surroundings, awaiting the inevitable attack. He jumped to the side, avoiding a blade's swing meant to cut him in half. Thinking of a solution, Kazama began to run on the water, as a submerged Zabuza pursued him with his blade out of the water, like a shark's aileron. Despite the vessel's best efforts, the missing Nin was closing the distance. With the poison in his body, he most likely isn't able to change his course easily. Turning around, Kazama formed a Rasengan in his right hand. As the sword approached, the vessel avoided it by moving to its left, before ramming the ball into the sword. The resulting explosion sent it flying away, and expulsed Zabuza from the water violently. The man successfully landed on his limbs, and countered with the jutsu. Water release, shark missile. The sphere's surface transformed into many projectiles, taking the form of carnivorous fishes. They missed, however, as Kazama ran on the side, circling Zabuza and attacking on his side. The missing nin frowned, and engaged him in a taijutsu battle. This time, however, he parried all the blows, and returned with punches and kicks of his own. Kazama cursed as he saw each of his attacks getting countered. Not so easy anymore, no, Mr. Poison? Zabuza chuckled as he stopped Kazama's punch, before giving him a headbutt in the face. Now I know your attack pattern, he declared as he punched him in the jaw. The dizzied teenager regained his equilibrium, and quickly parried Zabuza's fist. However, the man then opted for a kick to the limbs, which Kazama couldn't avoid. Falling on the water, he felt Zabuza immediately kick him again with full force. Your style is full of flaws. You're like a toad trying to stand on his legs. It's surprising at first, but once you take the time to observe it. He grabbed Kazama, and lifted him above his head, before facing the landscape below the sphere. You know the 8 sensible points? He asked rhetorically. The liver, the lungs, the spine, the clavicle vein, the jugular artery, the brain, the kidney, and the heart? Well, I think they're all going to get hit once you will crash on the earth from this hay. Suddenly, the sphere shifted uncontrollably. The missing nin lost his balance, and fell, releasing his grasp on Kazama at the same time. Exploiting this unexpected turn of events, Kazama created a few shadow clones. Reaching one, he used it at a platform to propel himself towards Zabuza. After repeating the same maneuver twice, he finally reached the swordsman, formed a Rasengan and rammed it into the man's chest, who roared out of pain. The two landed on a remnant of the sphere, which was beginning to implode. In less than a second later, they were propelled toward the forest, and crashed violently onto the trees. Kakashi finished his jutsu. Fire release, the great fireball. The fire touched Kisame, burning his skin away. The monstrous Sharkman roared before returning to his original form, Samahata in hand. So he confused with his sword, Kakashi thought, as he copied the man's new water projectile with his Sharingan, before using it himself to counter the shark missiles, damaging the trees nearby. They were in the forest, now looking like a bayou, flooded by water and full of mud. Kakashi had difficulty moving quickly, but his enemy was in the same situation. That, and his wounded lungs were crippling his abilities. Kakashi didn't know how someone could survive the Chidori, but Kisame had. His fusion with Samahata was the probable cause of this, but the damage had been done, and he was breathing heavily. The Jounin only had to continue to attack, until the missing nin's wounds got the better of him. That was, if he could survive the monster's attacks. Suddenly, two things hit a tree nearby, pulverizing it. Kisame exploited Kakashi's surprise to try to dismember him with a swing of his sword. A quick kawarimi with a nearby branch saved his life, and allowed the man to observe the two newcomers, an unconscious Zabuza and a badly wounded Kazama. You beat my partner? Kisame asked. I can't believe it. I did, the blonde teenager said, as Kakashi helped him stand. He grit his teeth. Then I guess I will have to go all out. He put his hands together. Water release, 1000 char. A breath of flames burned Kisame's back, along with a rain of kunai and shuriken, interrupting the man's attack and making him scream. A redhead teenager he had never seen and a boy in green were standing behind the missing nin. Sorry for the wait, Mr. Kakashi, he said, but the Arisha family has come to help. It's over, Kisame, Kakashi said, as he prepared a new jutsu, rather happy to have more backup. No, it's not, the wounded man muttered, right before two needles connected with his neck. Kakashi watched the man fall, mesmerized, and two people wearing hunter nin masks with black kimonos appeared out of nowhere. The Samahata disappeared within the water. Sorry to have stolen your kill, the one with white hair said. We were tracking this one for a while. Thanks for having weakened him and his partner, the hunter nin with dark hair said as he put two needles in Zabuza's neck and lifted him. You have Kiri's gratitude, Kakashi frowned. Taking Kisame's pulse, he found it inexistent. He's dead. The redhead scowled, and imitated him, before giving the corpse to the second hunter nin. Thank you for your help, Hunter-san. The man with white hair bowed politely. Goodbye. He disappeared with his partner. Sighing, Kakashi looked at the Arisher, and fainted out of chakra depletion. Chibaku, the puppeteer. So, what are you planning? Chibaku asked his older counterpart and Sasori. I don't know what you're talking about, the teenager answered. He was carrying the gray-haired jounin on his back, and the puppeteer beside him was doing the same with Naruto's insane self. Oh, come on! He yelled. You can't have been blind to that act. True Hunternines would have destroyed Kisame and Zabuza's bodies on the spot, instead of taking them away. They're probably still alive. Of course they are, Sasori stated. I can recognize a false death when I see one. So you did organize this masquerade? The blonde puppeteer shouted accusingly. His teacher had ordered him to do nothing unless he ordered to, and didn't look really surprised when Naruto had come to Tsunami's house with their hostess father, Sasuke, Sakura and another counterpart. In fact, he seemed to expect her words about Zabuza's attack. Of course he wasn't. His face is made of wood and he transforms people into puppets. Do you really think a surprise attack is going to faze him? Not really, his master replied. We didn't expect Kisame's presence, nor the coming of a second Hunternine, but I improvised. Chibaku frowned. What do we have to gain in keeping these two alive? Allies, Sasori stated. We have good reasons to think that Gato is going to betray them, and we have a lot of funds. We can hire them, and they will be useful once our pursuers inevitably track us down. Chibaku thought about it. It was perhaps worth a shot. Do you really think they are a match for those three monsters? If they work with us, yes, his older self stated. And maybe we can recruit Kakashi and his team too. How? The blonde puppeteer asked. They might be different from those we had known. Heck, if Sakura really is the Kyuubi's Jinchuriki in this reality, then she certainly isn't like the one you've known. His counterpart smiled. Don't worry, I will take charge of convincing them to follow us. Even if they're only slightly like my homeworld's counterparts, then I know what to say. If not, well, maybe they will hear us out anyway. He eyed Chibaku. But as I asked Naruto, we won't reveal our true identities for a while. We are simply a clan with huge chakra reserves, and our whiskers are simply tattoos. Our Werefox Self's abilities are the result of our bloodline. And about the Rasengan and the Kage-Bunshin? Or the Kusanagi? He asked. If Kakashi had seen you using them, I have a believable explanation, Sasori said. The Toad Sannin, Jiraiya, is our boss. He taught us a few tricks, and sent us here once he had learnt about Zabuza and Kisame's involvement. We stole Orochimaru's sword in a precedent mission, which convinced our commander we were fit for this mission. Well, it was a good cover-up. But for how long? And if the missing Nins aren't convinced by our propositions and attack anyway? Sasori smirked. I have taken some precautions when I examined Kisame. Chibaku's eyes widened. He knew what the puppeteer had done. You magnificent bastard! He shouted. You've put a seal on him, sneaky and underhanded. I like that. Yes, he confirmed. Naruto, remember this lesson, always be prepared for everything. Everything. Kazama, the traveler, thank you for protecting my father, Tsunami said, bowing slightly. You have my eternal gratitude, Kazama smiled. It's nothing, he assured her. We were simply doing our job. Even then, you risked your life for me, Tazuna declared. Really, thank you? Kazama was slightly uncomfortable with their thanks. While he took them as a sign of a job well done, he didn't think it was so extraordinary to risk his life for others. It was simply his way of doing things. They had returned to Tsunami's household after their destructive battle with Zabuza and Kisame. They had badly damaged the landscape, and he doubted their presence would be kept a secret for long. But at least Tazuna was safe, like Kakashi. The Jounin was currently talking with his genin team, inside of the house, and Kazama intended to speak with him. In private, after explaining to Naruto the plan, Kazama had, with Sasori's help, discreetly infiltrated Kakashi's bedroom. A potent genjutsu cast by the puppeteer, followed by a henge, allowed the vessel to hide in the room, taking the form of the wall. Kakashi was still in bed, his Sharingan covered, which decreased his chances of discovering Kazama. His new counterpart was wearing a green outfit, composed of a shirt and pants. He looked like a younger yandere. Sasuke was the exact replica of the one Kazama had known, but Sakura. Her robes were orange, and she had cut her hair to medium length. She was skinny, pale, and had the creepiest smile imaginable. Kazama recognized that expression, this mask, which he had worn all his life, fake happiness, and she was the Kyuubi Jinchuriki. Even if the seal was keeping the bijou in check, Kazama recognized its dark power in her veins. Which was strange, since he couldn't sense it in his counterparts until they used it. Was her seal weaker? Was her body too weak to hold off the demonic chakra completely? Kazama didn't know, but he hoped Kakashi would answer his question. What do you mean, sensei? Naruto's normal self asked his teacher. You said Hunter-Nins killed them? I thought so, the Jounin replied. But after a careful re-examination of Kisame's death, I find it impossible to believe. Senbon aren't generally used for killing, and the Hunter-Nins should have destroyed the body on sight and kept the head, instead of transporting it elsewhere. And they didn't try to capture the Samehada, one of the most precious swords of all time. No, there's something wrong with them, and we must be careful. And who knows if Gato hasn't contracted stronger killers, beside these two? The trio remained silent, frowning and scowling. Only Sakura's expression didn't change. Kazama was now sure that something was very wrong with her. Kakashi closed his eyes. I'm not in good shape, and honestly, I don't trust our helpers, so. The vessel's eyes flickered, as his counterpart interrupted the Jounin by asking the question Kazama wanted to pose. Why don't you trust them, sensei? They saved our lives and helped us fight the missing Nins. Yes, Sakura said, her smile breaking a bit. They're obviously our allies, why distrust them? Because, firstly, Kakashi explained, one is crazy and almost attacked us. Secondly, they are able to fight S-rank and A-rank missing Nins, while I've never heard of them. Once you reach A-rank, you are considered a big fish in the ninja world, and it's almost impossible to be an unknown, even more so within the mercenary underworld. Thirdly, no mercenary group ever helps for free. If they protect Tozuna from Gato, then it's obvious they're planning something big, and that their boss is a lot more influential than Wave's local tyrant. Such a high-class band of warriors generally work for ninja villages that don't want to have their fingerprints all over the place. And unfortunately, I have a theory about their employer, one which isn't pleasant. Who? Naruto's counterpart asked. A powerful rogue ninja known as Orochimaru, Kakashi stated. The trio paled, and the hidden vessel inwardly cursed. He should have talked to the Jounin as soon as he had awoken from his slumber. You see, I think that the weapon this Kazama used was the Kusanagi, Orochimaru's most prized blade. Even if it's probably only a copy, that man would never give it to someone he doesn't completely trust. You must all be wary when he's nearby. The Snake Sannin always had a disturbing interest in talented youngsters. But what can we do? The Green Genin muttered. We aren't a match for them now. We'll do as if this conversation had never happened, the Jounin answered. It's merely a hypothesis. It might have been another weapon, since I only saw it briefly. However, stay on your guard. And that's not the strangest thing about them. During the battle, I noticed certain bizarre events. Like? Sakura asked. Kazama Erasure knows of techniques exclusive to the Leaf. The first is an A-rank ninjutsu known as the Rasengan, and its users can be counted on the fingers of one hand. The second is the Kage-bunshin. Sakura's eyes widened at that. Yes, he can create shadow clones, and only the ninjas of Konoha know it, which meant he obtained the secret of these techniques somehow, through spying, or by betraying the village. In all cases, he is implicated in treachery. Kazama cursed the man's analytic mind. He had forgotten the Jounin hadn't been in the ANBU for nothing. Also, Kakashi continued, their incredible chakra reserves are completely abnormal. It might be a bloodline, which I was not aware even existed. And finally, while I was preparing myself to attack Kisame, I noticed that the fox boy was covered by a cloak of sinister, almost demonical chakra. I only saw a glimpse of it, but I'm sure that at least that one is extremely dangerous. But what can we do then? Naruto's normal self asked. They're stronger than us, and probably our only chance at fighting Gato. We train, Kakashi stated. I hope the Hokage will understand that something is wrong with this mission, once his men discover the two missing Nins we defeated along the road. But in the worst-case scenario, we are alone. I intended to teach you tree walking. Kazama frowned at that. He had almost forgotten this passage of his life. One of the things he would have to question Kakashi about. It was completely abnormal that Team 7 didn't know this exercise after weeks of activity. Apparently, this Kakashi was as lazy as the one in his homeworld, and if the new Naruto's formal demeanor around him was of any indication, he hadn't adopted him either. But with so many powerful opponents in the field, we will ignore that exercise. You will learn a few useful techniques before Kisame and his team attack again. Being put in a near-death state is dangerous for the body, and he and his partner will need some time to recover their full strength. We've some time before us. Obvious relief and excitement spread over the Genin's faces. They politely asked their teacher to rest a bit, before leaving, closing the door behind them. If Sasori had done his job, and Kazama didn't doubt he had, the room was now soundproofed. Dissipating the henge, the vessel appeared beside the Jounin. Hello, Kakashi-san, he smirked, pleased to meet you. The man's face jerked to face him, and his body tensed. Kazama knew he was ready to attack at the slightest provocation. The vessel wavered his hand in a peaceful gesture. I'm only here to talk, not to kill you. You have a strange way of beginning a conversation, Kakashi deadpanned, still on his guard. You've heard our conversation, I suppose, Kazama-san. Ignoring the blatant sarcasm in the man's tone, Kazama simply smiled and sat on the floor. This conversation would take some time, but he hoped to get important answers out of it. Yes. I must say that it's hurt me to hear you think we're working for Orochimaru, or that we're traitors. We are Konoha's most loyal servants, as Jiraiya-sama knows. Kakashi's eyes widened. You work for him? We all do, he lied shamelessly. The boss ordered us to help your team, after he had learned of Gado's involvement. How do you think I learned the Rasengan and the Kage Bunshin, except from him? And your sword? The Jounin asked, narrowing his eyes. Kazama smiled, showing it to the man. It's the real one. We stole it from the snake. You stole Orochimaru's sword? Yes, he confirmed, even if he hadn't stolen it, but earned. That's what convinced Jiraiya to send us for this mission. The vessel decided to deviate the conversation on the truly important matters. He didn't want his godson to be in danger. Hook, line, and sinker. And it worked. Kakashi glared. How do you know that? Is it really important to know that this Naruto Uzumaki is in reality Naruto Namikaze, son of the Yondaime Hokage and of Kushina Uzumaki? He asked rhetorically. It's an S-rank secret, he declared. You can't talk about that casually. Your civilians talk casually about the Kyuubi being contained within your female student, the vessel pointed out. Your secrets aren't the safest of the ninja world. Perhaps, the man agreed. It's a situation I'm uncomfortable with. If anybody knows about our Jinchuriki, and about my sensei's son, not everybody is aware of his parentage, Kazama stated, but I must admit I'm interested on who adopted him. Nobody did, Kakashi replied. You already know Jiraiya didn't, so he stayed an orphan. The son of our village's greatest hero, an orphan. He narrowed his eyes. Except Jiraiya, you were the most fit to adopt him. Why didn't you? Kakashi chuckled sadly. I was a dysfunctional adolescent that killed people all the time for the village, and that collected porn during his spare time. You really think I would have been a good role model? It would have been better to have a bad role model than none at all. Kazama yelled inwardly. The rage accumulated over a lifetime of loneliness filled his mind, but he managed to hide it. It would have been better than facing the ordeals of being an orphan alone. Kakashi closed his only eye. Yes, he admitted. I couldn't support the idea to adopt a carbon copy of my dear sensei, not when his disappearance had left a huge hole in my heart. Kazama's face twisted into a terrifying display of anger and hatred. That's your excuse? You left him to suffer all his childhood because he looked like the Yondaime? He yelled. Fortunately, the soundproof jutsu prevented anyone from hearing him shout. That's the reason I suffered all my life? Because you couldn't stop thinking about my father? He narrowed his eyes. You disgust me, he said. You sicken me. You shouldn't be their teacher. The man didn't react. You're right, he agreed, with an emotionless voice. Kazama was completely taken aback by this statement. He had expected him to deny that, or to find an excuse, but, each time I see him, I beat myself over this situation. Now, when I see him, I realize that I have failed Minato, and ignored my duty. I'm fully aware I don't deserve to even teach him, and it's agonizing. Kazama eyed him, the rage vanishing. Well, not totally. Yes, he was still angry at him, but he didn't know how to react at that display of regret. I've made mistakes all my life, and I know I will have to pay for them one day, in this world or the next, he stated. I know I'm beyond forgiveness, and seriously, I don't know how to atone for my failures, the rage returned. Then begin by teaching them correctly. He snarled. They don't even know tree walking after weeks. They're a bunch of untrained rookies. With their potential, they could reach true greatness if you had taken the time to. Insane amount of killing intent interrupted his rant. Kakashi glared at Kazama. You think it's my choice? He replied with a harsh tone. You really think I want them to be so outmatched? To be killed by a monster like Kisame? Kazama faced the glare, even if he flinched slightly. Then who is responsible? Konoha's high command, he answered. You really think my superiors want the Kyuubi's Jinchuriki to be strong on her own? The sentence silenced Kazama, who widened his eyes. The conspiracy again? Sakura perhaps, but why not the two others? Kakashi frowned. Because Team 7 won't exist beyond the Chunin exams. It isn't meant to, Kazama frowned. What was he talking about? Explain. Team 7 mustn't pass the new Chunin exams, he declared. They must fail. That's why I'm not authorized to teach them anything beyond the basics. Kazama's jaw dropped. But that doesn't have any advantage, I'm afraid, but there is a few. The next exam will be within Konoha, where Team 7 will be completely protected and out of danger. If they fail during the parts that aren't shown to the public, Konoha's high command will use that as an excuse to remove Uchiha Sasuke and Haruno Sakura from the normal shinobi program. You know what happened to Sasuke's family? Kazama nodded. He's obsessed after killing Itachi, which is a lost cause for the higher-ups. Sasuke possesses the last Sharingan, and is the last hope the village has to resurrect the Uchiha clan. They won't risk him for the sake of his revenge, especially since Sasuke doesn't hold a candle to Itachi, who was an ANBU captain at the same age. After his defeat, Konoha will convince him, I don't want to know how, to stay in the village, where he would be used to breed a new generation of Uchiha. He would never let his revenge go, Kazama pointed out. No words will ever convince him to let Itachi escape his grasp. You think he will have a choice? Kakashi asked. And I doubt our leaders are above brainwashing people. We have already seen that with Root. The mere idea of seeing Sasuke acting like Sai was sickening. He was a human, not an emotionless machine, who could never disobey. That's insane. I know, but I can't do a damn thing about it, the Jounin said. I have briefly thought about deserting, but Konoha would never leave us alone. And the other villages would probably be even more ruthless in dealing with us. And if, by some miracle, he succeeded in participating in the public ordeals? Kazama asked, remembering the exams of his homeworld. Then I will probably be ordered to train him, Kakashi declared. The Sharingan can allow anyone to make huge progresses in a very short amount of time. In this case, Sasuke will probably become a Chunin, and the only missions he will receive will be in Konoha itself. I think that Konoha will have Itachi killed, even if I seriously doubt it's possible, and announce it to him. Without his revenge, he will have no other goal but to restore his clan. It's a win-win situation, unless he were to die, but the proctors will probably protect him from anything, except Orochimaru, he wanted to add. The snake had been the wrench in Konoha's plan, the only variable they hadn't thought of, with disastrous results. And about Sakura? He asked. I don't know, Kakashi said. If the team doesn't pass, then either she'll be removed from the shinobi program, if the Hokage has his way, or else she will be trained as Konoha's weapon. If she overcomes the public ordeals, then I will probably be forbidden from teaching her. She will either lose handily, or pass with the Kyuubi's help. My superiors want to witness the power of the Bijou in its full glory. That explained many things, Kazama realized. Why I haven't been trained very much, among other things. And if she does become a Chunin, it's the best scenario, Kakashi said. She will continue her career, unless the most extremists of Konoha's rulers convince the Hokage to make her a weapon, which I doubt they will. Once a ninja becomes a Chunin, only the Hokage can decide their fate, and he always had a soft spot for her. In all cases, Naruto will leave Team 7 for an apprenticeship, either as a genin or a Chunin, probably under me or another person. He sighed. That is, if we survive our next battle with Kisame's team. Your help will be critical. Kazama thought about the whole situation. While he now knew that Orochimaru was telling the truth, a fact he hated to the very bone, he was presented with the possibility of preventing future tragedies. He could reveal the truth to Kakashi, and offer Team 7 the opportunity of leaving this world for another, thus saving their existence. But then Sasuke wouldn't be able to kill Itachi. But if he was innocent, like in Kazama's homeworld, then it was for the best. It would also protect Konoha from Akatsuki. They were after the Bijou, and with the Kyuubi missing, whatever plan they had would crumble. Kakashi-san, he said, after reaching a decision. I have something to confess. What? The man asked, eyeing the teenager, who smiled. You see, I have lied about my identity. In reality shock spread across Kakashi's face. Do you really need to use your saban that way? Zabuza growled to his two disciples, as he was lying on a bed. Kisame was in the same position next to him, and the two fake hunter nins were standing in front of them. I had to, Zabuza-sama, Haku said as she caressed a sleepy Samahata, who barked happily. We were outmatched and outnumbered. I had no choice but to fake your death, just in case. It was the only thing to do, Kimimaro declared. The bridge builder had escaped and Kakashi's reinforcements had arrived. Fighting them would have been hazardous, while staying low for a while will give us the time to regain our strength and attack again. And this time we'll fight at your side, Zabuza-sama. The swordsman frowned, but stayed silent. He could see the wisdom in his apprentice's words, as always. Kimimaro had been the voice of reason of the group, ever since Zabuza had adopted him after his clan's destruction. He and Haku were the children he had never given birth to. They were his greatest achievements, his most loyal followers. They were strong enough to kill the Konohanins and their helpers. Speaking of them, does anybody know anything about our surprise opponents? He asked. No, Kimimaro said. And it bothers me. I have searched in the data we've collected, but this Erasure family is totally unknown, which shouldn't be the case since they're powerful and organized enough to attack you and Kisame-senpai. The swordsman squinted. Umbu, perhaps, Kisame muttered. He was still weak and suffering from his lungs injuries. It might explain something about that fox creature. What do you mean, Kisame-sama? Haku questioned him. During our battle, the creature had been briefly covered with a cloak of chakra, an inhuman chakra, like Yugura's. He might be a Jinchuriki. Zabuza's face twisted into a stupor. You're implying the others were his handlers? Yes, the missing nin confirmed. He's crazy, so they must be with him to keep him on a leash. Kimimaro frowned. Then a ninja village is probably implicated. Since Kakashi didn't expect their arrival, they mustn't be working for Konoha. But which hidden village would have an interest in protecting the bridge builder? Haku wondered. I mean, to the point of sending a Jinchuriki, a weapon of mass destruction, to accomplish this task? Zabuza frowned. I don't know. Maybe they were aware of our involvement. Kisame is on the level of a bijou, so they must have sent this beast to kill him. Perhaps, Kisame conceded. But it doesn't change the fact we'll have to fight them again, if we want to kill the bridge builder. I don't know if fighting a Jinchuriki is worth what Gato is currently paying us, but if we break the contract, it'll be hard to find another job, Kimimaro stated. However, we can sell this Jinchuriki to another village. That's a good idea, boy, Kisame smirked. Right after Zabuza and I have recuperated, we will attack them. And this time, we'll crush them all. The normal. Okay, Naruto began. Who wants to play ninja poker? Everyone looked at him, and he smiled. He was sitting near a table, with cards in his hand. He stared at the kids present. You know, I'm pretty bored right now, and Kakashi-sensei won't teach us anything for a while. Why not amuse ourselves? They stayed silent. Before the boy in green, Chibaku, sat too. You've got a player. He locked eyes with the girl, Akane. Want to play? Of course, she said, as she imitated him. The duo looked at their brother, Kitsune, who sighed. Why not? It might be amusing. Naruto looked at Sakura and Sasuke. And you? Sure! The girl shouted. The Uchiha only shrugged. I've no time for games. Ninja poker is a special game, Chibaku said. It's also an exercise to gather information. The prodigy raised his eyebrows, and Naruto sighed. The rules are simple. It's like normal poker, except that cheating is allowed and encouraged. The goal is to know what the others have in their hands, and protect what you have, Chibaku explained. Everything short of outright violence or physical extortion is allowed, even theft. It increases your awareness and your ability to notice traps. Sasuke was many things, but an idiot he wasn't. He could recognize the value in such a game, and a thoughtful look formed on his face. Why not? He decided as he sat. Naruto smirked, and he began to distribute the cards, and noticed Chibaku replacing his own with those he had hidden within his sleeves. So there is at least one professional amongst my enemies. But so am I, Naruto thought as did the same trick. I've the feeling this day is going to be fun. Somewhere in the ocean, air twisted. A tempest formed from nowhere, amongst flashes of lights. 3 men were standing on the water. We are coming for you, world wanderers, Madara thought. Just wait for us.